Hello, it's the Giant Bombcast. On this
Hello.
Tuesday, April 9th,
Hello.
2019.
Hi. Yes.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Room.
Great.
I'm here to address you as the host of this podcast.
I mean, the room is doing all right.
Yeah.
This foam up here is still dangling.
Actually, I meant like,
Oh, whoa.
yeah, I meant the people in the room.
It's a big
Really?
dangler.
Huh. Ooh.
Yeah,
A lot of
that
those on
actually-
Sunday.
Yeah.
That looks a little bit dangerous up there.
I mean, Batista was wrestling, so of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Went out on his back. Good for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm Brad Shoemaker. Jeff Gersman is here.
Hello.
Jan Ochoa is here.
Hello.
I don't know if you'll be up on a stepladder in the near future.
I think
I'll
need
just
something
hoist
taller.
him up.
I mean, it's made out of foam, so if it falls,
If it falls, it falls.
it'll probably be fine.
I feel like it's been like
It'll-
that.
it's
since
It,
I got
probably-
here.
it has been like that for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably be
Yeah,
fine.
this is not new.
Okay.
Ben Pack is here.
Hi.
Jason A. Stryker is on a mission
Oh, yeah.
of sorts.
We're all on a mission
That's
at
right.
the end of the day.
Different
Out
kinds of
here on
missions.
Everyone's on their
Spaceship
own.
Earth.
Everybody's got a different.
Just remember, everyone you encounter is on a different mission.
Not everyone has the same objective.
Everyone's the main character in their own life.
Man.
Not me.
And
man.
we're all just
No.
NPCs, man.
What?
No, let's just get that shit out of here.
Can't handle it on a Tuesday, Ben.
Yeah.
Stop with that.
There's a fucking picture of a cat hanging from a tree limb. It just says that. Yeah, man.
Got enough shitty emails for mentioning Notch last week.
Coexist.
How is everyone?
Fucking worse now.
You saying we mentioned
now-
we mentioned Notch more than Minecraft does.
Why don't we turn this into a positive?
Every time you say the name, I just get a little. Ugh. It's
Well,
like,
why don't
oh,
we use the power of positivity?
Yeah.
Did we talk about
Okay,
running a
all right.
Minecraft server last week? I think we did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think-
okay.
yeah.
We should do that.
I like Minecraft.
I should do that.
Only
Yes.
if everyone's skins
We should get
are
those-
WWE superstars.
No.
We should just get those path tracing shaders and play with that.
Okay.
That's
That'd
what
be
I,
cool.
that's what I want to do. Really.
Can I be Goldberg?
Yes.
Also,
the-
Goldberg skin.
God damn it!
Yes. I want to be Gold Dust.
What we got?
Okay.
I want to be gold member.
We got three.
No, this has to be an RP server too, though.
Yeah, I'll be RPing as gold member. I'll eat my own skin.
He's not a.
But
Okay.
what if he was? But what if he was?
What if he was? He'd be hilarious up there doing like his little. He does disco roller skating, right?
Does disco roller skating?
I
and
haven't
then he-
seen
and then he
Austin
f-
Powers
he-
gold
he-
member in
he-
quite
It's
some
the $1 million
time.
dream, except with his skin instead of money.
Oh.
Is his finisher?
Do you guys just want to do the thing? We made 3 minutes in
Oh, I guess so. Yeah.
before a reference dropped.
Yeah.
I was kind of not going to mention it, but here we are.
What?
It's what it
Just,
happened.
just go
I
ahead.
don't know.
Just,
Yeah.
just,
there
just
was
go
a-
ahead.
It was a full. Okay. That was maybe like the best WrestleMania.
Oh, that's what you're
in,
talking
like,
about.
4 or 5
yeah.
years since Daniel Bryan, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that on the whole, like I might
you're
actually
right.
put
the
it.
whole picture. Yeah.
Yeah. With the exception of like it opened poorly.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh, this is a terrible way to open the show.
Oh, God.
Just like let's bring out the racist.
Yep.
Yay!
And
Let's have Alexa
what?
Bliss pose with the
Wait,
racist.
wait,
Yeah.
which racist?
Lars. No, wait. Hulk Hogan. I think is this was.
So he's back on the screen again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
He,
not.
he went to that Saudi Arabia show.
It's not
didn't
enough
he?
to.
And he's got a movie
Yeah.
coming, you know?
Well,
Well, not
Santa-
him,
no,
but
It's not. It's not enough to just quietly reinstate him in the Hall of Fame.
No, so he introduced his good friend Brutus the Barber Beefcake into the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And so I don't know that they necessarily said "and welcome back to the Hall of Fame," but just so, like on his lower third, it just said "Class of 2005," and you're like, okay,
Great.
yeah. But yeah, no, they've been slowly trying to rehabilitate his image and try to get him presentable for a while.
Brad, there's never been a better time and a better political climate for Hulk Hogan to come back into the Hall of Fame.
honestly,
sure.
yeah.
I'm not joking.
No. Yeah. But in terms of like the actual show, it really feels like my overall feeling after watching the 83-hour presentation
Yep.
was that someone sat down and looked at like some number must have crossed some line and they pulled some lever marked let's just make people happy. And so almost
I imagine like two people turning a key.
Yeah,
like,
no, at the
Vince
same
and Shane
time.
McMahon turning a key at the same
no,
time.
they would not be turning. And saying like, let's actually have the people who are popular with the fans win.
Yeah.
And so just because you start to predict it in terms of like, well, if they do a bunch of title changes up front, that means they're going to have everyone retain later. And if they're going to do this, then it means this because they're going to try to balance the show. And no, they just said, fuck it. Let's have almost every single match end with like a feel good ending. You're like, yeah, that's the person I think should win this.
Totally.
And
If we're gonna make people sit in the stadium for 10 plus hours,
Yeah.
make them leave happy.
Right.
Should I just assume this will be the last one like this for another like 5 years?
Oh, almost
They
certainly.
just dangle you a good one every so often to
Here
keep you
go.
around.
Keep you on the.
But next year's gonna have a pirate ship though.
That's true. Yeah,
And
they're
there's
going
a
to- they're going to
pirate-themed
Tampa
wrestler.
Bay.
Are they going
and
to wrestle on a boat?
They better.
One
Can
Kyrie
people,
saying
can people get on that
Can
boat?
you do that?
And so Tampa Bay has, because the Buccaneers play there. They have a pirate ship as part of their
Can you
stadium.
wrestle on in a ring that
Oh,
might
people-
be,
deck?
I
that
mean, you
might
can
be
wrestle on a
tilting
cruise ship.
back and forth?
Chris
Balls
Jericho,
count anywhere.
Yeah, Chris Jericho does
Can
a
they
cruise
shoot
ship.
somebody out of a cannon into somebody else?
I bet you could do that.
Okay.
I bet you could rig up a fake cannon.
Fake.
I mean, you wouldn't, because a real cannon is too small for a person.
Yeah. Shane needs something to jump off next year anyway.
Yeah.
Or fall off of next year.
He can't be. They're going to bring back Paul Burchill.
Please. Yes.
Katie Lee Burchill. They're going to do that whole incest angle.
Oh, great.
It'll be good stuff.
There's never been a
There's
better
never
time.
been a better time for incest. No,
Game of Thrones coming back this Sunday.
right? Yeah.
Along with no.
I have two questions.
Okay.
Yes.
What was the scenario that everybody was saying that better not be a work, and then it turned out to be a work, and everybody was like, "Fuck off." Does that ring a bell?
That might be from the G1 Supercard show, the Ring of Honor show on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Saturday. I just saw everybody on Twitter going like, "What were they thinking with this?"
So they had a couple of wrestlers at the end of a match join the company in a like, oh my god, they jumped the barricade and beat up a guy. Oh my god, who are these guys? They didn't really address it on TV so much. They treated it as like, oh, some people jumped the railing and we're not showing it, but like you knew who it was. And it's a guy who was accused of, I guess the charges were dropped.
They were dropped,
They
yeah.
were, but yeah, he was accused of like, I guess sexual assault. And he was dismissed from the WWE. His tag team partner was dismissed for other reasons. And the two of them, after going their separate ways for a while, showed back up here. And it's just like this thing of like, you probably shouldn't be employing these two guys. Like, this is not
Plenty of other talent out there.
plenty.
Plenty.
Both.
Both of these people also known to have terrible attitudes in the locker room also.
Yeah. So it was this. You saw some of the people that were even involved in the previous match, like Tama Tonga, which that's the part where you're just like, you don't know what part is fucking people actually pissed, and are they shoot pissed or working pissed?
I see.
What?
Tama
You
Tonga's
can't just
always
say
shooting
that.
pissed.
You can't
He's
just say that
always
and
shooting
assume we're
pissed.
all gonna know and be on the same
Yeah.
level with work piss.
It almost seems like the management of WWE really just wants to wait for controversy to blow over and then restore the status quo.
I mean, they're going back to Saudi Arabia in like July. So
Okay.
that's, yeah,
With Undertaker leading the charge.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's still
It's never been a.
still your problematic fave. How about that?
Okay. My other question is, what the hell happened with Bret Hart?
Oh, that was mess.
That was
I know-
also at the Hall of Fame.
I know what happened, but like what?
Yeah, a fan jumped in the ring and tackled him.
Like
Yeah.
like violently, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Not-
took him to the ground.
Not like trying
Yeah.
to give him a hug.
No,
Hey.
like trying to give him a spear.
Okay.
It was not a edge spear.
No,
It was similar to maybe a Bobby Lashley spear.
yeah,
And he's not like the youngest guy at this point, right?
61?
Like he's
No,
like 60s.
and he's had a stroke, and he's got throat cancer. Was it throat cancer?
I know he overcame some type of cancer. I
Yeah.
don't want to say it was throat cancer.
So Bret Hart's been through some shit.
Yeah.
and he was up there giving his acceptance speech,
like in a
and-
suit.
Yeah,
He's not there to wrestle.
No,
No.
he's not there to wrestle. And some
But
fucking,
everyone standing around him sure was ready to wrestle.
Oh yeah, man. That's as soon as that guy got in the ring and got him, like just everyone from the front row just jumped up and fucking beat the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
And they hauled him off and charged him with whatever they charged him with.
And then signed him to a contract.
Yeah, no, that's
No,
pretty
Ring
much
of Honor is going to sign him. To a
Yeah,
contract.
he'll show up next time Ring of Honor has a show. Yeah, I don't know. Ring of Honor, it sounds like they have not been in a great place lately. So
Yeah, especially with a lot of their talent jumping ship to AEW.
yeah.
I understand their relationship with New Japan isn't doing so well either, especially after that.
Well,
Madison Square Garden
yeah,
show.
I mean, the New Japan half of that show was really good.
Yeah.
and not to say that there's some people in Ring of Honor that I think are talented. But
Totally,
like
totally.
The Ring of Honor, I don't keep up with it that much, but every time I see it, it's just like this seems like it got real bad.
yeah. It got real bad.
So
real
those
quick.
two guys debuting in this like work shoot whatever, you're just like, yep, okay.
Did you see that Big Cass is now going as Big Kaz?
Great.
To
Perfect.
still keep the namesake.
I know
but-
he was going by Big C for a while.
Oh, great.
I don't know.
It's like a giant Big Show situation of name is
Of,
copyrighted.
yeah, exactly.
Is every wrestler's name copyrighted and they can't take it with them?
Yeah, well,
more or less.
A lot of wrestlers use their real name, use the shoot name, and so Kevin Nash can be Kevin Nash, whatever he does, because that's just his fucking name. John Cena could be John Cena wherever he goes, because
So his legal real name.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good stage name.
and so the proliferation of just people using their names to wrestle has nullified that to some extent. It's different for different people, and depending on what day you ask and all that other stuff. Like some people come in and their names get changed to something that the WWE can copyright. Sometimes they don't. It's depends. Anyway, I don't really have any major complaints with WrestleMania, which this is the first time I can say that, I think, in a pretty long time.
Surprisingly, the Raw after Mania, which is always supposed to be the most fun and wildest, was pretty tame.
Yeah, like kind of whatever.
Yeah.
That was last night.
Yes.
I can't believe they do another regular show the day after the Super. It's like it's like having the Super Bowl and then starting your next season the next day.
Well, that's the idea. I mean, that's kind of how they treat it. Is like the season cliffhanger / start of the next season. Like it's kind of like storylines culminate here.
Yeah, but you want
I'm sure they have a lot of plot lines that have like
no
ended
downtime.
that they need to start on the next
downtime.
one.
Yeah,
at all.
like multiple debuts.
Is it in the same?
night.
Is it in the same arena as WrestleMania?
No, same city.
Okay.
But usually like a smaller arena.
And they have another show tonight.
Yep.
Okay.
So that show is going to move to Fridays in October, right?
Yes.
That's because SmackDown's moving to a different night, and so their touring schedule will change and all this other stuff. But and then next week they're going to do like their draft thing where they send people between the shows in different matchups and pairings and all the other stuff, and kind of shuffle the deck a little bit. So there's that stuff's interesting, whatever. But yeah, I thought it was a good show. Like there's usually like Shane McMahon still wrestles, and you're just like, dude, don't. But that was probably one of my favorite matches they did.
Yeah, it was a good throwback.
Yeah, they jumped off a camera stand into some shit, and you're like, okay, yeah, that looked good, and looked like it was also probably fairly safe.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a good combo.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, it was good is not what I expected to hear about WrestleMania. So, WWE subverting expectations.
Yeah.
Kofi Mania, baby.
Good job.
I mean, yes, there's a few things around the edges that I think could have been better for sure. And there was like this weird fuck up in the main event where they were building to like, hey, these 3 women are headlining WrestleMania. Isn't that a huge deal? All this other stuff. And then seemingly like they fucked up the pin, and Ronda Rousey took one of her shoulders up off the mat for a second.
I forgot she wrestles now.
Yeah. And they didn't address it at all in anything going forward, and also didn't show it like, after, like when they got to like, hey, let's look at what happened last night. They definitely did not show that shit happening, which gives them some storyline shit later on if she comes back and is like, you never pinned me, blah, blah, blah. They can play it that way if they want, but instead it came off like wow, someone kind of fucked up a little bit.
Not go according to plan.
But
didn't they also blow the results of like one of the?
They were
posted a T-shirt early or something.
But then later on in the show, they had T-shirts with the other outcome on it that they showed.
Okay.
Totally, it's like a Super Bowl situation where it's like we're gonna, because I imagine the we have a little inside knowledge now of merch production and stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff can take a fucking long time to get in the works.
Yeah.
So you can imagine before they had their final outcome of, okay, for sure he's going to win,
right?
That they have to start thinking about both sides, because it's an entirely separate team that's going to be handling their merch and their story, right?
And that's stuff that, like, if you go back through the years, there's been instances where they've gotten that stuff in the wrong order in cases where, like, they run their own magazine.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they still do, but they used to. And, like, subscribers would get the magazine with, like, the results of the show happening in 4 or 5 days.
And they'd be like, what? This is fake!
Yeah, and to hear the people who, were there then and, all their fucking podcasts talking about the stuff, they just look, they knew in some cases going into something like, the number of people that subscribe to that magazine, whatever. They got a little bonus. Here you go.
Sure. The diehard fans let them have.
Yeah, which is interesting. I think, when you're probably producing that many hours of content every single week, you probably have to look at it and just go like, well, whatever. There'll be more shows next week. Like, if this one little thing got fucked up, like, whatever. We're fine. Keep going.
Especially when they have people bouncing between all of their shows from, like, NXT to SmackDown to Raw. They have to keep whatever timeline they have going on.
And then accounting for injury on top of that, and like, oh well, we planned this thing way out, and then this person's injured, and now we can't do this, so we have to do this, and we have to do this, and there's a lot of keeping up with that many moving parts. Seems like it would be an interesting challenge that would eventually drive you crazy and burn you out and leave you running screaming from the building.
Yeah,
but
my only complaint was probably some production stuff. Like the ring mic seemed super loud this year.
Yeah,
like you could.
It was
hear
kind
a couple
of
spots
cool in a weird way, but
yeah,
you definitely heard them calling spots.
Like you would hear Rhonda just yelling, "Bitch!" all the time.
Yeah,
like a little too much.
Yeah,
and then like some spots being counted down. But yeah. I understand some of the audience were like blinded by light.
Yep. Yeah.
Which
saw
sucks.
some pictures of just like the lighting out in the crowd not being great. But yeah, fun show.
Yeah.
It was the first time that I watched, like, because Wrestlemania is also way longer than any of their other shows. It was the first time I came away from it going like, that felt like I, did not waste that. There are definitely years where I'm like, I can't believe I sat there for that long watching this bullshit.
Yeah.
But I came away from it going like, yeah, no, that felt like an okay use of time. Also, I did my taxes.
It'd still be a lot shorter though.
Oh yeah.
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 Do you think they'll go back down to like maybe a 3-4 hour show?
I don't see why they would.
Yeah.
I just don't see why. I just don't think they have.
They got their own network now.
They got their own network
as long as they want.
And you look at like their goals of like, well, we'd like to get as many people on the show as possible. So
that's true.
We want to have this 20-person battle royale and all this other shit and multiple.
Wait, now I'm interested.
Yeah, and okay, yeah. Multiple hours of pre-show because they have partners that like, oh, this hour of the pre-show airs on USA. This hour is only on YouTube. The needs of the business end of that business are always going to be that.
Right.
So, they're providing content that their partners want more of, not less. And yeah, I mean, there's already talk of like they're going to bring, what is it? There's like a third hour of SmackDown that's going to go to FS1 or something.
Geez.
Or
like an after
like
show.
some kind of, or maybe it's an after show, like a scripted show and not necessarily like a wrestling show or something, but
yeah, like an analysis type deal.
Yeah, there's already, they're already just getting in deeper and deeper. Because like if you think about it, like the television business is just like kind of fucked, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got something that reads as sports, which is like one of the things that is still working, and it's live, so you can't, you want to talk about the outcomes with your friends and all that other shit. Like that's like one of the few truly valuable things left in television.
It's like one of the few kind of water cooler sort of venues.
So, if they've got something that goes every single week, every year. It's not baseball that cycles out. It's not football that is only on Sundays and Thursday, wherever the fuck they do it.
Wait.
It's not Monday night
more
football.
Monday Night Football?
That's been, I think, is it really? It's Thursday now, right?
Going to put Josephus out of work?
Well, they still do a game on Monday, but now it's on cable. Like the big national game, for whatever that means, I think is on Thursdays.
Who's going to ask if you are ready for some football?
I think they still ask if you're ready for some football.
You could. They have to make sure any day of the week that's not Sunday, they have to go ahead and ahead of time ask.
Are you ready for some?
It's not Sunday. Are you ready?
It's legally
to watch
required.
Football?
Yeah.
You have to. Yeah.
The football ombudsman.
Yes. Stuff's heavily regulated.
Yeah.
All right. Here's my question. What's better right now, wrestling or video games?
Right now?
Yeah.
Don't even.
What do you got?
Don't.
Kofi Kingston is it's a pretty cool storyline.
What is
that
the
stuff?
I legit haven't cried at wrestling in quite a while.
Yeah.
I think since 2005 when Eddie Guerrero won like the WWE Championship and No Way Out here in San Francisco, the Cow Palace, Madison Square Garden of the West Coast.
Yeah.
But man, seeing Kofi win,
it's kind of
that's what New Japan said.
Telling if our version of Madison Square Garden is called the Cow Palace, but here we are.
Have pride, Brad.
What is the Kofi Kingston of video games this week? I'm looking at the release list.
What's the big underdog that won it all?
Dangerous Driving?
Dangerous Driving,
Probably?
maybe? I don't know. No.
Let's not go that
It's not
far.
a good fit.
No.
It's not a good fit.
All right. That was a bad segue, but what do you got?
Dangerous Driving. We put that video up on the site. That game's all right.
Yeah, I think it's out today.
Yeah, it
according to
is.
this.
Yeah. It's you still see some budget stuff around the edges. It's still a $20 game. It has like
I believe it's 30.
Really?
Yes.
I thought
I
it
saw
was
some people
20,
correcting
but
us on that.
I could have sworn it was 20.
Let me double
but
check.
I thought I looked that up ahead of time.
It's a value proposition.
Perhaps I am
either way.
incorrect.
Also, it's not on Steam, right?
Yep. Yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
So finding it.
It's one of those.
Hang on.
So what is it?
It's
It is-
Burnout 3,
Okay.
kind of.
It is-
Crash mode.
No. because they did 2 separate games that have crash mode in it. So this is just races and road rage and that sort of stuff.
And heat waves.
Instead of burnouts. It is that end of Burnout 3, basically.
Okay.
It does not have online, but they are apparently adding that, which to me sounds like a recipe for no one ever playing it online, because it's a fairly small release. Like, is it going to catch on to the extent that you're going to find people playing it? Like, I just don't know.
Especially for a non-free game.
It is. It is $30.
Okay, it's 30, huh?
Yes.
I could have sworn. Well, whatever. Guess it's 30. It doesn't really have a soundtrack. It has like one song, and it has Spotify integration.
What's with those games?
It led to one of the more exciting quick looks in a while.
Yeah.
But also when you're just playing the game, and if you don't have Spotify premium account,
right,
it's the game is just silent.
Music is expensive. Most of the consoles have music streaming built in.
Come up with some solution though.
Yeah, I mean, yes, they obviously sure. But do they want to spend that money on
It's a fast-ass driving
music?
game. You want something there.
But how much do you have to raise the price of that game? If you want to go out and do like what EA Tracks did for Burnout 3.
Well, I'm not saying you go get like recognizable artists.
Yeah, I can buy $10 Steam games that have amazing soundtracks. And I know it's like comparing apples and oranges sometimes, but like, you got to make decisions along the way of your product of what do we want to invoke and represent.
Yes, I would argue that a soundtrack is a crucial component of an arcade racer.
Yeah, but also like I am of the mind that if you tried to go out and do a license-free version of the soundtracks that you associate with the Burnout games, it would be dog shit.
Oh, but those were bad to begin with.
But they were
they're a
there
memorable
were always
bad.
A handful of tracks on them that weren't bad.
Well, sure.
I would take some like cruising quality music.
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be that style of EA Tracks. Like
there's that one Cruising USA song that's pretty good.
I think we're thinking of the same song.
Yes.
Like I bet there are up and coming composers who would love to take a stab at scoring an arcade racing game.
Yeah.
How's it feel though? Does it feel like Burnout?
It feels good. It feels pretty much like Burnout. Like I think a lot of the things that people go like, some of the people who played it at PAX had said things like, the angles feel weird and blah, this and that.
I will say, watching the game, especially if you don't remember what Burnout 3 was like, they certainly look weird.
Right, but it's the sort of thing of that's what Burnout 3 did.
But it sounds like that's that game.
Yeah,
right?
they kind of made that game. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to have like some massive longevity or something. Like maybe the online will be a thing. I don't know. Then there's some kind of pursuit mode cop stuff in there that I have not seen, or maybe it's coming in their DLC as well. I'm not sure on that, but I think it looks fairly nice.
Yeah, it's got a good sense of speed. I mean,
I guess the other thing I saw, which I have not verified, but I guess on a non-upgraded consoles, that thing runs at 30.
That's a shame.
Yeah. So keep that in mind.
I would not. Smooth.
I would not play that game at 30 frames a second.
Yeah. That style of racer needs to be smooth for sure.
So I guess keep that in mind as well.
I mean, half the reason I think we're even really talking about it, besides there not being much out this week, is just the case of lowered expectations.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the other 4 games that studio's produced have not been great. Like,
every time they put a game out,
similarly stripped down in a way where you're like, fuck, man, there's barely anything here.
Well, especially because it's like, hey, these people founded Criterion. They created Burnout. Like, they're going to do some cool shit, and then each release is just like,
they feel like
they felt like prototypes.
Yeah, I was going to say like alpha,
especially like Dangerous Golf,
early access,
which I think they even at the time were like, oh yeah, we're going to make a driving game after this. This is just the thing we're making now. Like okay,
Danger Zone 2 was the closest. Although that game also lacked music.
Even with that, it had no music. The UI was like very bare bones,
very stripped down.
I think you said programmer font at one point.
It looked like some default fonts in there or something.
Yeah, I don't know. They're cutting weird corners there. They're making choices that I bet make those games more affordable for them to make.
Yeah, and it does feel like they're building up to something because this is the closest to a real game.
But I don't know. Like that's a game where I'm probably, even if it had some kind of soundtrack in it, I would probably reach for the Spotify integration.
I mean, it's a cool thing to have, for sure.
But also, I'm already a Spotify member.
That's the thing.
It's $0 additional dollars from me. I would probably not sign up for a premium because it does not work with the free accounts.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, because it's device.
Yeah,
it's device.
That's why,
like
and
that.
that's $15 a month. And if you don't have Spotify, like I don't have any streaming right now, but when I did, I was using the Google stuff because of the YouTube integration.
Right.
So like I would just get nothing out of like. At that point, it's like, what am I going to sign up for a second service?
No, absolutely
to get music in this game? No.
But that was like they had what is it? Microsoft one. What was their service that they shut down?
Oh, God, I feel like they've had like 8 of them,
and it was yeah, they have. It was whatever was built into Forza Horizon,
like pretty recently,
not
right?
the last one, but the one before
like
that,
a couple years ago.
Yeah, like get a free trial of Microsoft's.
Oh, what was that called?
Beats, and it's not Beats.
Yeah,
it's not
something
Flux.
like that.
Hoobastank?
Yeah, Microsoft Hoobastank.
Yeah.
Sign up for that shit.
They had access to every Hoobastank song.
That's right, and Hoobastank will perform all songs.
They just have them in a room.
Yeah, they're just like, okay,
doing their songs.
Here's you need to do this Old Town. Okay, Old Town Road here. We need the Hoobastank. Yeah, Microsoft Groove Music.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah,
such a bad name.
Yeah, well, it's gone. So
and they had Zune just sitting right there, doing nothing. Come on.
Yeah. Well,
that's just a Zune that's sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah. It doesn't sync anymore. The software doesn't run right. Yeah, I don't know. I am always going to be interested in an arcade racing game, especially these days when the pickings are so damn slim.
Yeah. It was like last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago? Onrush.
Last year was Onrush.
Last year, like playing Onrush, kind of made me realize how much I missed the arcade racer.
Totally.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's disappointing that we don't have more choices.
Right. And I think that's something that's just. We'll see, man. Like EA, I think is talking like they're going to do Need for Speed this year, and I'd be interested to see what they do with it after some time off, and after like the previous design of those games. You know, they made changes every year, but like by and large, I feel like this generation of Need for Speed games has been relatively rotten. Yeah. You know, since they did that reboot and tried to make it like open world, online connected stuff.
Yeah.
It just, those games were just not fun to play, and the online integration felt like pointless in a lot of cases. Though I could use like my iPad to call in a helicopter on another racer or something, and it barely ever worked. Like it just kept disconnecting from the tablet. It was fucked. But yeah, I want to see what they're gonna do. That Amazon thing came out also. That based on that TV show that they have.
the not Top Gear.
Yeah, the not Top Gear.
Hasn't that been out for a while?
It has been out for a while. I've gone back to it a couple of times. It is profoundly bad. It is like abysmal to drive. Like for a game that like has these guys. I thought these guys were like associated with like
guys.
car. I mean, yeah, they're like car guys. Not the
they're
car
like
talk
some
guys.
of the biggest
they're
car
like
guys.
yeah. So like you've got some of the biggest car guys.
The Grand Tour.
Yes, the Grand Tour. That game is shit, and it is integrated with video. But not episodes from the show. It's like it seems like they took clips from the show and the idea is like you're kind of playing some of the same challenges from the episodes of the show.
I mean, that's a neat idea.
It updates over time. Yeah, it's a neat idea, but like the handling is terrible. It's just like so. It's really rotten.
Rubbish.
Yes, you're right. Yes, absolute rubbish.
That appears to be the only game that Amazon has put out on consoles.
Yeah,
or on anything except for like their own
the Fire.
Yeah.
They
put out a bunch of Amazon. There's been a couple on like the Google Play and the iOS App Store.
I was surprised by how poorly that game handles. I mean, I wasn't necessarily expecting it to be like some serious simulation or whatever, but I felt like, and I don't watch that show, so I don't really have some huge attachment to those dudes. But when I think about those dudes and we're making a video game with those dudes, I just had some assumptions about like, hey, the cars should handle like cars because these guys you would think would be the guys that would touch it and go, this is fucking rubbish.
Oh, do you think they even know there's a game?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. God. One guy choked another guy and said
something about steak.
Handling's bad. I don't know.
There's no steak.
Hey, I mean, that never stopped wrestling games from putting wrestlers on it and then making games that feel like incredibly bad.
Wrestling games are fucking terrible. Yeah. They need to make WWE Crush Hour 2, a car combat racing game with wrestlers.
Those guys.
With those guys.
And the car guys, too. Get them involved.
Yeah. That game, I don't know if you have seen WWE Crush Hour.
I have.
it is weirdly prescient for what they are now as a company, because the whole that whole game is built around the idea of what if wrestling had a 24-hour TV network.
And they're like run out of ideas, and so one of them is car combat.
No, it's literally like Kane has a cooking show. I don't know, and
Right.
like that's practically what they've done.
Great.
And they should make another one of those games. Car combat's back, baby. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if you noticed that
Yep.
that battle royale game.
What?
Not My Car. It's called. It's on Steam.
Wait, that's a battle royale game?
Yeah,
One
it is.
word, right?
Yeah, it's one word, all lowercase.
What?
Not My Car. It is a car combat battle royale game. Like you steer, you push up to go.
It
like
sure
twisted,
is.
like Twisted fucking Metal.
What?
I mean, they had the Daisy car.
Yeah,
Auto
they had
Royale.
that
Auto
auto.
Royale.
Yeah, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But that still was more like driving than this is.
This
This
is
is
just
more
like,
like Twisted
this-
Metal. Like you
Yeah.
This looks
are using an
wild.
analog stick to control the entire car forward and back, turns, all
Can
that
you shoot
stuff.
any direction?
Yeah, you
Okay.
you can rotate with the right stick and shoot
Okay.
in any
Okay,
direction,
that's crucial.
and you can hold the left trigger in to
There's-
zoom.
There's like muscle cars and dune buggies. And
Is there a guy whose arms are wheels?
there's a tank?
Not yet, but it's a free-to-play game, so if they know what's good for them, they'll eventually get there. I don't know. I played a couple rounds of that. It wasn't awful.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
Is it free?
it's free.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check that out.
They launched in early access with a season pass, which also seems a little fucking presumptuous.
How can you have emotes with a car?
There are ways.
It's horns, it's paint jobs, it's a flag.
How about, hydraulics?
They
need to put some hydraulic
They
emotes in there.
should do that, but
Bumper stickers.
Yeah.
You have to zoom in really far to see.
when you drop out of the plane, a glider is attached to the top of your car,
sure.
and so you can customize the glider, I guess. With
They drop cars out of a plane.
yeah, they drop cars out of the plane.
Maybe
It's a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah.
I might need to check this.
It's not bad. I mean, for a free thing, I played a couple rounds of it and was like, I might play 1 to 3 more rounds of this.
Sold.
And
Ringing endorsement.
yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would put money. I would not buy that season pass. But in terms of things that, hey, it's free, check it out. It works better than you might think. Everything works better than you might think.
Cool. Season pass is what, 10, 15?
Yeah, you can buy levels with it too.
Oh,
so they're really
Nice.
they're really all in on the current
All right.
battle royale monetization plan at launch in early access, which again just seems like a bit much. But
All right.
I played some of that. It's not terrible.
That's shocking to hear
Yeah.
on multiple levels. What other games y'all got?
I had quite a lot of time to be heavily medicated and play a lot of video games this last week. And so I purchased and hit the level cap in Tom Clancy's The Division 2.
Wow.
Oh wow. Jeez.
On
PC.
okay.
I played a little bit of that, and I'm like level 19.
Yeah. I mean, it helps that I had a lot of like high level friends. So I guess the way it works is you get up to level 30, and then once you hit level 30, you're measured in gear score.
Yeah.
And they're all at like 450 or something. And I think the cap is 500, maybe a little higher.
Maybe,
I don't know. I haven't seen anyone much higher than the
I think
high
I think the cap might have gone higher with this last
within
patch.
that last patch, sure.
Yeah.
And so like I don't typically play a lot of cover shooters. I like my shooters more movement based, like an Apex or a Vanquish and stuff like that. But I think the way that the gun handling feels in this game and the skills feel, and just like the thing that really makes me really enjoy this game is, the level of care on the kind of combat arenas. They feel really well designed. Like it feels like there's lots of angles in play.
Yeah.
It feels like, especially if you're playing with multiple people and it's like, okay, my dude's got a sniper rifle, I got an SMG. Like we can see very clearly the points that we need to set up. They do a good point of kind of fanning out the spawn zones in a way that you can't just kind of like camp one corner where all the dudes are going to come from.
And because the enemies get so bullet spongy, if you do end up camping in a corner, you're out of ammo.
Yeah.
And then you have to.
And then like a melee dude comes at you and you just die.
Yeah.
So I'm at kind of the end game stuff is separated into world tiers. I'm just in the first one. I just hit the level cap, and it's starting to get pretty difficult. I've heard that the game gets like you cannot get shot by one guy, or else you're like completely fucked at the hardest difficulty. Which is cool because I'm only playing this game socially. I'm only playing with other people. I like how fluid the like call and response stuff is. I've answered. I got to like level 28, doing all the main story missions and a bunch of the side quests and stuff. And so I decided I was just gonna start hopping into other people's games when none of my friends were on, and that stuff feels really snappy. Like the game takes some time to load, but once you're in, there was never any like desync issues. I really like the way they handle balancing, like power balancing.
Bringing players together and stuff like that.
I didn't feel so. I was joining with 3 other high level players, and I didn't feel like I was just a hindrance. I wasn't dying over and over. I had to play definitely more safe than them. They were like dropping dudes way more fast than they would be in their own games, but I was contributing to fights at least. I was like able to take out lower level guys easily. The higher level elites or whatever were kind of up to my team. I think it's really cool. There's so much in it. It's so dense and it's so easy to like forget about huge aspects of it or not even learn, especially if you're playing with other people and you're kind of just zipping through story missions and not going back to the White House after every mission and learning about the new things you're unlocking and stuff. So I wish there was a little more there in terms of kind of tutorialization, I guess.
They have a lot of pop-ups that are just like, hey, you can do this, and if you go up to the bounty terminal, it'll tell you what it means. And like they're okay about that stuff, but it's
easy to miss once, and then like if you miss it the one time, the first time, you can like, and you don't just happen to
especially
walk
if
by
like you're in a hurry and you walk up and you button right through the like very brief text because you're just like, oh, my friend is waiting for me. It's very easy to kind of just blow through that shit.
Totally.
And then never know what you're doing. That last patch cleaned some stuff up.
Yeah, and it also fucked up a lot of stuff.
Really?
That game has had the most T-posing I've ever seen in a video game.
Awesome.
Especially if like you're in one room and a couple people go ahead and clear out like the next room and then you run into that room. I've seen no less than like 10 dudes T-posed after they've died.
Just like
up.
Enemies just T-posing after. Wow, huh? Weird.
And
I have not seen any of that. And I've playing on PS4. But
this might be a PC
wonder.
specific thing. I've been seeing some funny screenshots of people like doing the selfie emote with T-posing and
awesome.
stuff. And
that's fucking great.
Oh my god, the emote game in that game is also pretty good. There is a there's like a welcome pack right now. It's like $15 and you get these loot boxes and this currency, and it comes with the charade emote. And I was playing with Matt Pasquale, and we were trying to figure out if it's one emote, the charade. It's like one thing, and we were trying to figure out what it was because like it's somebody doing this. Watch the video portion for this instance of the Giant Bombcast, but somebody doing this. So it's like, okay, video game. Then they go 2 words.
Okay.
First word, they do this, kind of like reaching out. And then the second word, they do this. And we're like, Far Cry.
Yeah.
Another Ubisoft game. It has to be that. And sure enough, like I just like that there's that much care. And there's stuff like if you start dancing next to an NPC, sometimes they'll say something like, maybe you should just stick to shooting dudes. Or there's a lot of care in this game that I appreciate because you can tell it's a game that they really are focused on this kind of end game. Keeping people in the loop.
Yeah, that's the stuff they really pushed hard right out of the gate. And saying like, here's our end game content trailer and all this other stuff. Anthem tried to do it a little bit too.
That they whiffed on with the first game, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like I came out of that knowing like, all right, here's
the big deficiency we had last time around is like people finished the game and had nothing to. Though I think the thing I'm running into is, I like trying to get to the level cap and trying to see some of that stuff has just been slow going.
Yeah.
Because I've been trying to join other people's games and matchmaking and all this other stuff, and sometimes it's just no one's joining, and sometimes I'm joining other people's games and they're just running around aimlessly.
Sure.
It's like, okay, well, I guess there's nothing for me to do here. Like I'm trying to kind of power through it a little bit to see the rest of the story and maybe hit the cap. But yeah, I dipped back in for a couple hours yesterday just to see what the patch had done. Because it's a big change to weapon mods.
Yeah.
Because pre-patch, like every weapon mod felt like a 50-50 thing of like, okay, it's going to give you a bonus to this, but a debuff to this. And so every single weapon mod was some kind of trade-off. in terms of like, okay, my maximum range goes down, but my accuracy goes up, or things along those lines. And they've changed that to just be like almost all of them are just positive now.
Oh wow!
They just got rid of almost all the negatives.
Yeah,
that was fast.
Yeah, and I thought that the weapon mod stuff was interesting beforehand, but now that it is just straight up, it's not something worth thinking about. It became like, okay, here are the weapon mods I put on every weapon because here's how I want to do it. Unless the weapon is way out of whack and the accuracy is super low and it needs a little bit extra there to try to get it in line.
Right.
But generally
you just
speaking,
have your go-tos like extended clip or whatever.
I'm putting this red dot sight on it and this and this and this, and I'm doing that to every gun. Like at some point, they must have just said, "Fuck it." Like let's just nullify.
People want to see the numbers go up, not up, and then a little bit down. Damn it.
Right. Yeah. So they did that, and I think that the change is not that big a deal, other than it makes it more obvious what you should do, and you spend less time staring at the percentages, going, "Wait, do I want to do this or want to do this?" Like, no, fuck it, just do this, go. And so I think that probably works out in its favor. They try to make so that there are skill mods, like you unlock your 8 skills.
Yes.
You can equip 2 of them at a time, and then there's like mod slots on some of those, and they had skill power requirements that were in like the 400s, like most of the ones I was finding.
Yeah.
And they lowered those way down to where they're more like in the 100s, but I still can't equip any of them. So it's just like, all right.
You got to be at least level 30 just to get some of the stuff. Yeah, it seems like there's such a focus on that end game stuff that I did find myself kind of a little like, the people in my party would be talking about these certain mods and these certain upgrades and stuff that I just couldn't even get access to, which was a little bit of a bummer. But I'd say like with the help of friends, it took maybe a total of 20 hours to hit that point.
Wow.
And then once I did, it got a lot better.
Yeah, see, I'm a little over 20 hours in, and I'm still like level 20 because I had to play alone in a lot of cases. And I think like their end game focus, I think, comes at a bit of a cost to where I think those story missions, like there's not much of a story in the game. Like you blow through it and you're like, oh well, I guess some stuff happens. Like, oh, we found this guy, we did this, but like the narrative, at least up to this point at level 20, it's been barely there, and it really seems like they're trying to funnel you into that end game in a way that I just think they could have made the core experience through it the first time like better, richer, more interesting.
It's such a shame to me that this is almost inarguably the most mechanically sound loot shooter to date.
Yeah.
But the narrative side of it is so
it's so whatever,
insubstantial.
Shocking how non-political it is. There's not an ounce of politics. They said that
other than
the implications of everything, right? But like it's almost distracting how you don't hear anyone in Washington, D.C. after some sort of civil war, basically, mentioning anything political.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It is extremely dumb. There's one story beat that is very good and very memorable and very funny to me. I won't say it because it's kind of an endgame thing, but yeah, other than that, it's like primarily just, hey, agent, go rescue Jared Smith. And he's going to install a shooting range in the basement of the White House. And then you free Jared Smith. And he said, thanks for saving me, agent. I'm Jared Smith. I'm going to go put a shooting range in the basement of the White House.
You're like, finally, I get to shoot guns inside the White House. It's weird. That aspect of the game is just feels really undercooked at the expense of like, oh, I guess it's got a better end game, but as someone who hasn't gotten there yet, like I'm just having a hard time staying engaged with it to get there.
There's a lot of interesting storytelling you could do with societal breakdown, they don't seem to really try.
They really choose to focus on like the local story, and I'm sure like I'm probably getting to the point where it does start to ramp up into something bigger than this, but like through the first 2/3 of that level curve, it has really been like, hey, this guy's been kidnapped. We got to find him.
Well, that's the thing.
Or hey, we got to get the water.
Even
within
just the scope of the city, it's still everything that, from what I've seen, everything is just a need for resources or a need to rescue someone.
Absolutely,
like,
pretty much
everything. Every bit of narrative trapping is really just a mission objective.
Yeah, there's like little bits and pieces now that are just like, we need to reboot the network so we can try to link up with other people in other cities, and that's kind of I think where it'll start to get slightly bigger bigger.
It's kind of cool seeing like the settlements slowly evolve as you do missions for them. It's like, hey, we got the campus one. It's like, hey, we got a concert hall now, and there's local musicians that want to play, and so every once in a while you'll walk by there and there'll be people playing music, and that's like neat.
Yeah.
But and it's like there's a lot of kind of subtle environmental storytelling. I like a lot of the places that you're going to. Like I think I said on a Bombcast like DC was going to be inherently less interesting than New York. But there's tons of like really cool museums and stuff that are real life places. Like you go through kind of like this.
You get to jump through the windows of real life places and have gunfights inside real life places. Yay.
Yeah. There's a shootout in a fake Vietnam.
Yep.
That was really weird.
Not political.
No, not at all.
Yeah, the fake Vietnam thing was a little.
That was weird. That was weird. It looked like the set of the Rushmore, the play they put on in Rushmore.
Yeah. Huh. It's real silly.
So yeah, it was. I played a lot of that, and then I played a bunch more Sekiro. Still grinding through that. Finally got through Genshiro, and man, I really like that game. It's kind of like that fight. I've seen other people talk about it, but the kind of it's not he's not the first boss, but he's the first boss that is like truly a motherfucker. And it really is like the fight where you either double down on playing the game your way, or you kind of open up to just like, okay, I'm gonna like I was just having so much trouble with the fight, and then a bunch of people recommended just go purely offensive. Don't even fuck around with defense. Just like swing your sword at this dude as many times as you can. Parry when you absolutely have to. But just
get in there and give it to him.
Just like not, because I didn't play a ton of the other Souls games, but I know the thing is like hit a boss a couple times, roll away.
Yeah,
hit a boss a couple times, roll away.
Wait for the opening. Yeah, get in there, do your
which
thing.
is how I approached most of the fights up until this point in Sekiro. But yeah, man, just seeing that the kind of hidden depth to the combat was really cool, and kind of like the moment where I cemented in and was like, okay, I'm gonna finish this game no matter how aggravated it makes me, no matter how weak and futile it makes me. I'm gonna push through, and that game's just really something special. It's really cool. The environment, the enemy types, the bosses. Like there's certain bosses in there that are just really like they could have just had like a bunch of really weird monsters, but they decided to kind of really deliberately try and I feel like challenge themselves on what a boss fight can be in that game. And there's a couple standouts in there that I think are really cool. And I'm looking forward to getting up to the last boss and maybe never beating it, as I've seen everyone on Twitter talking about.
I hear things about that boss.
Oh boy.
Is Battle, what's it, something simulator? Is that worth?
Totally accurate Battle Simulator?
Right. Why can I never remember that?
Tabs. I had to really untrain myself from saying Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, which was
that's kind of what makes me keep, or that's what keeps throwing me off. Yes,
it's a better name.
Yeah,
it rolls off the tongue easier. Totally Accurate Battle Simulator is kind of a sandbox game where it's kind of a top-down view of a battlefield. There's a campaign mode and a sandbox mode, but basically you've got a bunch of dudes on one side, and there's a bunch of different factions. There's like knights or farmers or like Vikings and stuff like that, and they each have 6 to 8 different units, and they each cost a different amount of money. And you'll have like $3,000 to beat the enemy army, and so you have to like pick and choose which units and position them. You lay them out on the battlefield. You've got like shield guys or bow guys or spear guys, and like special units for each race, I guess, however you want to refer to them as. Faction. Thank you. And you just lay them out there, and you hit the button, and they all just run at each other as fast as they can. And it looks so silly and stupid because it's like very over the top physics. It's like I'm trying to think of other games that it invokes, but it's definitely that kind of like you hit a guy and he goes flying completely flailing, just like all.
It's like weirdly wobbly and ragdoll, right? Yeah.
And battles never really play out the same way multiple times in a row because of how weird the physics are. Like you'll have dudes just like get stuck in other dudes, and it's just
all right.
It's just a really fun time. It's really fun to lay out a bunch of. My favorite unit is there's a guy with a wheelbarrow, and there's 2 kids in the wheelbarrow, and the kid in front has a pitchfork, and the kid in back is throwing rocks, and he's just running at them with the wheelbarrow and the pitchfork. It's really stupid. There's another one with the Viking unit where they're like carrying one of those big, Viking ships with the big sail and the dragon head, but they're just like carrying it because it's not in water. And then when they get up to some enemy units, they just throw it on top of them and then pick it back up and do it again.
All right.
It's very silly. We're going to take a look at that soon. It's in early access right now. They're going to add more factions and more story missions and stuff.
So it is early access.
Vinny and I had a really long conversation about this morning because we were trying to figure out.
I'm pretty sure Will brought that thing onto UPF a year
there was
ago.
a UPF in 2017.
Or was that a different game?
That was that game, but it was an alpha.
Oh, that was like a sign up on their site and they would send it to. Okay, that's right.
They like had a very, very limited like kind of proof of concept alpha that had maybe 1 or 2 factions, and then they kind of went dark.
I see. So this is the first like retail for money
you
release?
can actually buy this on Steam. Release.
Okay, I was trying to figure out what this was because like it seemed like everyone was into something that had this exact concept a while ago, and I was like, is that this game? Or there was a different one because then there was the one that was the Battle Royale game.
Yes, that was an April Fool's joke that they made real.
And okay,
yep.
All right, totally accurate battle simulator.
Yes. Yeah, not a totally accurate impression of this game's release.
No,
we're close. I finally signed up for that Nintendo thing.
Oh yeah.
That I've been putting off forever because who plays games online on a Switch if you're not a Smash fan?
I do.
But sorry.
It's fine. Brad, it's
a Smash fan or a
sorry.
Pokemaniac.
That's what they call us.
But that Twitch Prime thing is out there, so I was like, why not? I'll check it out. And then I started playing Tetris 99 over the weekend, and now I can't stop playing Tetris 99.
Yeah.
How do you find the skill level of people you're playing with?
Boy, I'll get to that. I was gonna say I was never one of those people that said Tetris Effect should have had multiplayer. Like I thought those complaints were a little misguided for what that game was. But I'm finding very quickly that I needed some multiplayer Tetris in my life. But fuck, man.
It seems like anyone that is still playing Tetris 99 is going to be brutal. At
like
Tetris,
I was reading some tips this morning about playing the game better, and one of the tips was straight up like it helps to play when Japan is asleep. It's like, all right, well, if that's the situation we're in,
that's how I had to play Tetris DS.
Maybe I should just hang it up. But yeah, I need some tips. Like on the strategy end of it, not on the Tetris playing end of it, but like. I never know if I should go with one of the presets at the top, if I should be juggling the presets. Like, I started out trying to target people manually.
Yeah, like, so you do want those kills, right? Because then you get the badges.
Right, but then I find, like, the more time I spend, scanning the field, trying to find somebody with the red board that I can target, the more I'm falling behind on my Tetris,
Yeah, it's...
So... Is it just a tough balancing act? Like I guess I'm wondering if I'm missing anything, but
I actually I was showing it off to a friend, and we came up with the strategy of just having a dedicated targeter, where my friend was literally sitting next to me as I played Tetris, and he would tap on the ones that were getting out there. It's cheating, I guess, technically. Man. If you want to like call me out on it, I'm cheating for on those few rounds I played. But like that's the level. I feel like that's the level of like. You need to be as good as 2 people at looking at a screen to be.
I forgot you could. So you can just tap the. Okay, I've got to start
tap the boxes manually.
I've been trying to use the analog stick and that cursor is not.
That cursor's
fast enough to get where you want it to
go. Yeah, I never got like great. I got a couple wins under my belt before I kind of stopped playing it. But the people I would watch on Twitch were just machines at like they would be able to like look at somebody's board and know like okay, in like 30 seconds this dude's gonna be in trouble, and sure enough like. In 30 seconds.
And this makes me not even want to bother.
And if they're streaming on Twitch, that probably means they're docked and definitely using the analog stick to select boards, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. And so they would look out for boards that like they could tell weren't good at Tetris. Like you'd see lots of holes in the wells.
I was going to say, I guess I've only been playing it handheld. I guess if you're on a TV, it's easier to see. But on a handheld, you can barely... The boards are so small, you can't even really see what they have going on.
No.
Huh. That thing
upgraded
is
Switch is going to solve that issue.
I guess. I don't know. God, that thing is rough. I think 9th is my best finish so far, but I've only been playing it for a couple days.
I think I got 4th.
It is.
But
it's a mean.
That was also day of release when people were still trying to figure it out. So
you still get a new game, like like that. Like,
really, that's cool.
I'm surprised. Cool. I kind of expected by this time it would be tougher.
Yeah.
That's the only game so far that's made me really wish that the Switch had some sort of 3G, 5G.
Yes, I was thinking that
capability.
exact thing this morning. I was like, man, I would love to play this on the bus, and I guess I could tether it to my phone.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's quite worth that much hassle, but maybe.
Yeah.
That thing's fun. I want to keep playing it. They've got some, I guess it's the second time they've done this, some kind of weekend like tournament thing.
Oh, really?
You can actually earn coins for the eShop.
Oh, weird.
Oh,
It's like the top 999 players earn eShop coins. Or the not the eShop coins, but like, you know, the kind of Nintendo
Oh, the My Nintendo
rewards coins, I believe.
They were
or
giving out
whatever
those
it is.
rewards coins at PAX for like if you
Huh.
did stuff around the booth. You got some, or there was some kind of. I saw people in a line to do that. Yeah,
I bought a game on the eShop a couple weeks ago and I got like $2 off
Well,
with
right.
coins. So
I spent all my
there you
coins
go.
getting the online stuff. Like
Oh,
I ended up
yeah.
getting a year of online for like $8.
Oh, I didn't
because
realize you could. Oh, it's just any transaction.
I think so.
I see.
I mean,
I see.
yeah.
That's cool. I also spent more time than I expected messing with that NES thing. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's just NES games.
It's just NES games,
But,
not
like-
even all of them. Just a handful of them.
It's probably like 30 games or
Yeah.
something like
What
that.
are some of the more recent ones they've added?
Oh gosh. Well, I don't know. Like, I did see the next two are Mario Lost Levels and what was the other one? I can't remember. I know Kid Icarus was recent.
Oh, cool.
I
actually
don't know.
never
Like,
played it.
I don't know what the order is. They've been
Yeah.
adding stuff, but I think I don't know. For me, it's more just seeing like the polish of that thing, the presentation of it, like how fast you can scroll through those games and how fast they boot. Like,
Like
it is
box art
just
stuff and-
instantaneous
yeah.
getting in and out of those games. Like you could probably see 10 title screens in 10 seconds if you worked the controls that fast. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of amazing how elegant it is. I don't know. Like I know the common wisdom is just like, there's a million ways to play NES games these days. Like who fucking cares? But like just the ease and simplicity of it.
Yeah, totally.
grab it,
is
hop
a
on your
big,
couch.
is a big selling
if I
point.
was bringing my Switch places and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff, that kind of thing would be more valuable
Yeah.
than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
definitely.
It's cool. I played a little Falcon Age,
Yeah,
which is out on the PS4. I'm
looks
pretty sure
really
it's
cool,
just
right?
on PS4. Yes, it's you're a falconer, a falconist,
Falconer.
falconer.
Falconeer.
Is that the
Full
falconer?
Metal Falconist.
It's some of the people from Uber who did like Monday Night Combat and
Right.
Planetary Annihilation. They
Right.
started a new studio and did this. It's like kind of a first person like action adventure kind of thing.
Are you a bird?
You are a person on a planet being kind of savaged for resources by a space corporation. And you bust
Yes,
out.
I am.
You bust out of your corporate prison where you're being forced to do manual labor,
Mm-hmm.
and meet up with your long lost family and a bird.
Long
Okay.
Lost Bird.
I'm not super deep in yet, but I think like you're kind of like going to rediscover the ways of falconing with this baby bird you have recruited,
Okay,
and kind of fuck up the evil space corp
with a bird.
in the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's got VR. I played it in VR so far, but only with a DualShock, which is kind of a weird combo.
Oh, is it not all VR?
No,
It
so
is
it's
optional.
I played it a little bit both. I mean, it's
Yeah.
totally just a pretty standard controlling first-person game on a
Alright.
DualShock and not VR.
Yeah.
In VR, it's like it defaults to teleporting
Yeah.
and kind of the stutter turning.
Oh,
You can turn that off and just run around freely if you want, which I did. But without move controllers, like, because you can extend your arm and the bird lands on your arm, and you can point the bird at things to do stuff
Yeah.
for you. And without that, you're just kind of, it's very mechanical on the controls. I have one move. I was like, maybe I should just get another move. And then I looked.
Yeah.
Moves are still like $40, $50.
Oh, move controllers.
Yes.
I thought you were talking about like moves in the game.
No.
I was like,
no.
is your move
No.
point bird at bad guy?
No. PlayStation move.
Okay. Yeah.
I only have one.
Okay.
I guess I could borrow one from the office.
how are you going to play Johann Sebastian Joust?
Can't play Beat Saber with just one.
That's true.
If you're really good, you could.
I got that PC headset that I also never use. But I don't know. That game seems cool. I'm not super deep in, but like there are references in the trophies to like farming. Like there's a cooking system where you like cook things for the bird and also yourself.
Okay.
There's like farming apparently. Like the world map seems pretty small, but like it seems like they may have packed a fair amount of stuff.
I really
in there.
dig the style of
It's
it.
cool, yeah. Like there's even with the DualShock, there is a sort of like physics mode for the bird. You can hold a button down and then use the motion in the DualShock to kind of move your wrist around while the bird is on your wrist, and the bird will like do goofy stuff with your movements, and you can like fist bump the bird, stuff like that.
Okay.
Which is
I saw a gif of the bird doing nunchucks.
yes, there's a bunch of animated GIFs out there of the bird doing cool stuff, and it looks like I think the bird kind of like grows over time. Over the course of the story.
Does the bird dab?
I don't think so. The game seems a little more self-aware than that.
The bird dab?
I doubt it.
Can birds dab?
Can birds dab?
Yeah,
don't
they're,
know.
they're
Oh,
like
yeah,
cleaning
dude.
their
Yeah, like the
wings.
wings
The
are,
wings
like,
could
made for-
absolutely.
Some say that birds were dabbing before humans
That's
even
very
thought
possible.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard birds are suing Fortnite.
There's a lot of them.
Can you dab
It's
in Fortnite?
It's a class action.
I'm just gonna say yes. I'm just gonna assume yes. That there's some dance move that has a dab in it somewhere.
Or like you dab and explode or something. It's called like the super dab.
Yep. 2 gram super dab.
Sorry, I keep eyeballing this page where this new Star Wars game from Respawn is supposed to be streaming, but it hasn't started yet. I think they're late.
How dare they? Don't they know we have a podcast to
Is this the Star
Talk
Wars
over?
celebration?
Yes.
Or is this?
I believe this stream was supposed to have started.
How are you guys
half an
celebrating
hour
Star
ago.
Wars this year?
It's like a Lent thing for me.
Yeah.
What are you
I
giving
gave
up?
I gave up Star Wars.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
the ultimate celebration.
Yeah.
So you'll enjoy it even more once it's done because you can come back
Totally.
to it
I
fresh.
can come back to it and watch clones. That's this thing,
Clone
right?
Wars.
Clone Wars.
The clone-
That's over.
Okay. Great.
Uh,
I thought
Rebels, I think,
begun
is the
they
current
have.
thing. I
Okay,
don't know.
yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. Jan, you got any
Clone
games?
Wars was good.
I blame Jason for me falling back into the Brawl Stars hole.
Oh,
I
God.
thought I'd gotten out of it.
Oh, I thought you were still playing it.
Ever since I added Rich, I was like, man, I should stop playing because I'm playing all the time now, and it's terrible. And I just hit like a cap where I just keep losing trophies, similar to like in Clash Royale, where it's like,
Yep.
wow, I'm doing so well. Then
Is it just as blatant in this game as it is in Clash Royale that you were losing to people who spent a bunch of money?
so when you level, the higher rank your like character is, the bigger the fall in trophies.
Okay.
So if you're trying to use the character that you've leveled up the most, you're just gonna, and you keep losing because you just match with random people, you'll just keep losing more and more trophies. And I thought like, well, maybe it's my phone, blah blah blah. And then Jason on UPF last week popped open BlueStacks and used a controller to play Brawl Stars, and was like, that sounds cool.
Oh no.
And then I tried that out, and then I just felt so dirty.
Oh boy.
I just felt so dirty using a controller for that game.
Well, I mean, you can pair controllers with an Android phone.
Yeah, but I'm assuming
So-
like a lot of people are playing that game are just like on their phone.
Well,
or
I bet
whatever.
people. I
that's why
bet
you
once
need
you
to
get
crush
past
that.
a certain level, there are people that are just like, "Fuck it, dude.
Probably.
I'm getting this controller."
But then so I jumped down to like one of my lower level characters because then like the fall from grace isn't as high.
Mm.
I'm not losing as many trophies for like one of my newer characters, and then it just felt terrible schooling.
So you're
fools.
smurfing and you're using illegal controllers to do it.
I don't know what I've become. I'm ashamed of myself.
We're ashamed of you too.
Wow.
I still haven't spent any money.
Playing this game, that's fine.
It has a battle
We've
royale
crossed the
mode.
line.
Come on.
Okay, I'm in.
We could do duos.
Okay, can I super dab?
You could dabble holding the phone, and that in itself is a super dab.
Ooh, you're right.
Yeah, like just as you're about to win, you just like dab while holding the
I, like,
phone.
do my final swipe or whatever
Hell
as
yeah.
I dab. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I'm back in.
We're bringing back dabs.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
they're back now.
finally somebody
Yeah.
had to.
It's
Yeah.
been
I
long
had
enough.
to do it to them.
Totally. Definitely not just
It
like
me.
a year or two ago. All right, is that it for games? That's probably it for games.
That's
it.
it for games.
That's
All
it for
right.
games.
That's it for games.
Forever.
Yep. Video games are done. We'll be right back. Okay, here's the first piece of news I have for the show today.
Okay.
That Star Wars reveal is on Saturday.
okay.
If you were to say, naively assume that a headline like, watch the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order reveal here, would imply that that reveal was happening on the same day the story ran.
Then you would not understand how the internet works.
Yeah.
And that everyone's got to fucking get their SEO game on hit.
Yeah.
So you click on that story and then it says like, okay, you can come back here on Saturday and watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's on Saturday. That's not today.
Star
just
Wars
for the
Celebration
game?
starts on Thursday.
Even though,
and
even
then-
though all the stories for here's when to watch it went up today.
Are we waiting here for that then?
yeah,
Yep.
let's just hang out.
Yep.
Okay.
I ordered
All right. Just lay back.
ordered some food.
Great.
Sandwiches will be here
Great.
soon.
Great.
Is there a pizza place near here?
Um,
Pizza Hut will deliver to this location. I know that much.
there
We've done
have
that,
been.
You know what? That sounds good.
There's a pizza place up the street that's not not like a delivery. You can get by the slice.
Okay.
Sit down.
You order something that's like in a mush form, or like something I can drink through a straw.
Get a
And
pizza
sorta
shake.
like,
Yeah, There's
good old pizza shake.
there's a Soylent Spigot.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I love Soylent
yeah.
because I hate eating.
Yeah.
You love drinking.
That's right. Anything through a straw. All right. Here's actual real news that did happen. Or will happen. In this case.
News of the future.
Yeah.
Precogs.
So despite the Division 2 having been out for like a month now, people apparently have just started noticing that the White House is covered in posters of a Viking dude holding the Apple of Eden.
Yeah.
From Assassin's Creed.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden everybody's like, hey, I guess the next Assassin's Creed might be Vikings. And then Kotaku has come around and said, yes.
I think that there was some reporting around the Viking thing even prior to the game coming out.
Yes, I think
so
that's the case.
I
But
think this is just people noticed the
yeah,
wall texture and went, oh,
the posters in there. But then, yeah, the story says Kotaku can independently confirm the same.
Yeah.
So according to their sources. So, hey, Vikings,
hey, Vikings.
next year, because there's no Assassin's Creed this year.
That makes
Right.
sense. Those games are just The Witcher now, so like
I
they're
guess so.
just third-person character action games. Like it,
the last couple, yeah.
it doesn't matter that
really,
the Vikings weren't assassins or anything. Like,
there could be an
weren't they?
assassin within the Vikings.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, the assassins are everywhere.
but
Yeah,
I'm more
that's the
talking
whole-
about like fighting dudes with big swords and axes is going
Yep.
to be like how you play that game.
Ah, yeah,
'cause
but-
that's what those games are now.
You could make
You
it
can
work.
assassinate them. Yeah,
You
no,
You could climb on top of a mead hall.
it's just like if 3 years ago or like before Odyssey
Yeah.
came out, if you said the next Assassin's Creed is going to be Vikings, I would have no idea what that would look like. 'Cause,
Right.
like I'm picturing like huts,
Mm-hmm.
a very flat.
Like, how am I going to
Huts.
jump off of a thing into a bale of hay
Mm-hmm.
from the top of a hut?
But after seeing how these last two games went, yeah, sure.
Yeah, they've turned that thing into something else.
I'm sure there'll
Yeah.
be a lot
For
of
better
big
and for
focus
worse.
on naval stuff.
I
guess
guess
too
so.
soon.
Yeah,
That's a big
they've
Viking
definitely
thing.
been on. They've had
Yeah.
some boat stuff.
It's possible. There was some talk in the story that the rumors that had been kicking around were that it was going to go Egypt, Greece, and then Rome, like
Hmm.
kind of a new trilogy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
But it sounds like those plans have changed if they ever existed in the first place,
Hmm.
since they appear to be going in this direction instead.
And there's no that would
maybe
be for
some
next year, right?
elaborate in
Yes.
this direction. Yeah, they're
said
not
they're
doing
taking this
assassins
year
this
off.
year.
so that's basically still like year and a half plus away.
Yeah.
Right around the time everybody says new consoles are coming out. So
Hmm.
there is that.
Sure.
So in addition to that, I can't remember how this also came. Oh, I know what it was. It's so the Watch Dogs 2 got patched a little while back
Mm-hmm.
with like a modified version of the ending that makes some references to Brixton
Oh, weird.
in England.
Okay.
And now the word going around, in addition to this Assassin's Creed thing, is that Watch Dogs 3 is going to be set in London.
Whoa.
And
You're gonna disrupt the EU.
That's right.
yeah. Taku also says they can confirm that detail as well.
It's completely apolitical video game.
Yes.
So,
There's no politics.
Yeah.
Your handler is Theresa May.
Handler.
no, not by the time this comes out. One thing I've noticed that some people have pointed out about that setting is how generally difficult it is to get your hands on firearms
Yeah.
in the UK.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
And that was kind of a big complaint about 2 to begin with, was like, hey, this gunplay feels out of place in
For
this,
sure.
in this game that
Well,
is
like-
largely otherwise about like kind of frivolous.
Yeah, it was like a little lighthearted in
Yeah.
ways. Like it's also certainly sinister by the end of it.
Yeah.
Especially if you think about the things that have been fucking attached to Facebook's name since Watch
Sure.
Dogs 2's release.
Yeah.
Like their fake Facebook shit in that game just
They
seems
hadn't
like
been to Congress yet.
yeah, it seems like a fucking 80s fucking teen romp at this point
Yeah.
compared to where the fuck we are now.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Like the gunning a bunch of people down didn't really fit with the MO of
Exactly.
the protagonists
Yeah,
in that game.
yeah.
So maybe they're just not gonna like. I would love to see a Watch Dogs with not much gunplay. Like
Yeah,
just double down on the crazy hacking
Gadgets
stuff.
and hacking.
Yeah, yeah.
and
Like,
yeah,
make
I don't think you need it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that would
Make
be
it
Give
fit.
him like a pistol.
it's just all knife crime.
Oh yeah.
Isn't there 3D printing in Watch Dogs
Yeah.
too? So they could
3D
use
print a
that.
gun anywhere in the
Yeah,
world.
that's true. Yeah, they could just do that.
You're just crafting entire guns, and then that you can use them like 6 times and deteriorate. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Something
Well, I
along
don't
those
know.
lines.
Those guns you were 3D printing in Watch Dogs 2 did not deteriorate.
No,
So, yeah.
that's true.
God, yeah, I forgot about that part of it. That's a neat idea. Yeah.
Is that guy with the TV face going to be back?
I don't know.
I never beat 2, so I don't know what
say?
their fate is.
I don't remember. But they made good on those characters. Like, for as dumb as all that shit looked pre-release, like, TV face guy was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... a London-based Watch Dogs 3 sounds really interesting to me.
Sure.
Especially when you are hacking the tube.
Oh, and think about how there's, surveillance cameras everywhere and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot that they
I mean,
can
that's
do there.
the game is already based on the idea of you having cameras all over the place. So,
I wonder how they feel about the direction of their story with the outcome of Brexit up in the air.
Mission 1, you're
Like,
trying to get an Irish
Is
passport.
that right? Right. Like, is that game going to come out and just be instantly dated because things didn't go the way they thought?
I don't think they can safely make any predictions. I think they got to keep it as ambiguous as possible when it comes to like the politics of the EU, like England and Britain and London and like.
What do you think? Watch Dogs definitely announced at E3. Assassin's Creed maybe.
I would assume Watch Dogs would be out this holiday.
That's what I mean.
Oh.
So like that would definitely get. That's why I mean it would be announced for sure.
Like if they're taking a year off for Assassins, like that seems like the thing they would have.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. I mean the bigger question is, do they announce an Assassin's Creed a year and a half before it comes out, or is it too early for that?
Okay, so
Especially
I
now.
guess that's kind of a two-part question.
Also, I mean, would they be teasing it in this released game if they weren't ready to announce it?
Right. Think about it in terms of if Microsoft is going to get out there at this E3 and start talking about what they're doing next.
Sure.
They need games for that.
It's a better look to say, here's the titles you can expect.
Right.
Wait, you don't think we're going to see footage of purported next-gen games, do you?
I think it's certainly possible.
Huh.
Like
How's it gone in the past?
first trailers and that sort of stuff. And how it's gone in the past is someone puts out some tech demo and says we're targeting next-gen hardware.
I mean,
hardware.
the last two consoles didn't even get announced until 6 months before they came out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is already breaking that mold.
Right.
If they announce a console.
But they've said that they're looking to do big things at E3 this year.
Yeah.
Sony's going to have whatever they're going to have information-wise between here and E3.
I mean, I guess the bigger question is, are we back in the arms race of console makers trying to one-up each other? Like, is Microsoft, like, scrappy and hungry and, like, looking to fight?
I absolutely think Microsoft is hungry and looking to fight. That's
Like is it going to be another 360 situation of, like, we got to beat them to the punch? Not necessarily release-wise, but, like, we got to get out in front of them with exciting new stuff.
I would think that they would be looking at Sony pulling out of E3 as a gift.
Yeah.
And I think that Sony is probably taking a more conservative approach in terms of like, let's let all these motherfuckers get out there and play themselves, and then we'll come in and go like, streaming, huh? Check this out.
Yeah.
How do you play video games on our console? And it just shows they're going to bring back Adam Boyes, and it's just showing plugging fucking cables into the back of a box and then putting a disc in the drive and go.
I think Microsoft's going to try and really focus in on we have a news story coming up about that specifically, but about their like the subscription stuff. Like really, that's I think that's the stuff that they're going to try and hammer home. And
Microsoft is trying to become more and more of a services company. And all that stuff. Lines up with that. So, but also,
the nature of the console announcements is kind of separate from that.
Right?
It is unless it's like so integrated, right?
Like, do we get a name? Do we see what a box looks like? Do we see footage of stuff like this?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Or
is that premature?
It's weird. Because of there was the talk about the streaming or the discless Xbox One,
which supposedly will be out this month, according to that leak.
Yeah, which
sounds insane at this
point. So
point.
it just sounds like the product roadmap is just fucking weird. Everything's fucking weird now. You ask like, how did it go last time? Like I don't even think it matters anymore.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Things have changed.
The
so
half-step
much.
consoles made it weird.
Yeah.
Step 1. The streaming stuff makes it weird. Step 2. Sony pulling out of E3 makes it weird. Like I think tactically or competitively, like what you announce and when you announce it, I think is really weird. But I also think that there's an element of Microsoft, if I'm guessing, that they want to move on from the Xbox One as cleanly but also as quickly as they can.
Yes.
And so starting them being there to say like, and it was similar with the Xbox to the Xbox 360, right? It was a relatively early cutoff, and they were like, "Fuck, man, Xbox 360, we got this thing, we got some ideas that we probably should have done better at last time, and here we are nailing it."
You're saying they're gonna,
except for the Red Ring
you're
stuff.
saying they're gonna drag Elijah Wood out into the desert,
Fucking A, someone has to
into a tent.
That's right. What if they just recreated that whole event and they were like, "It worked for us last time"?
That'd be so good.
That'd be weird. But yeah, I that's the impression I get.
Yeah,
is that Microsoft is probably wanting to move forward. They have a competitive opportunity here with Sony. Maybe not being. Sony will probably have their own event, right? I mean, like late this year, early next year, something like that.
Oh, you mean like a PSX?
Yeah, like not even a public. I mean, like they did in New York for the PS4. Like here we are unveiling big details about our console,
Sure.
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I could see them repeating that.
Yeah.
For their rollout. So,
definitely. I mean, they even did one of those for the PS4 Pro, which was like not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things. So you could totally see that.
I think that's their style, and I think it makes sense for them, and they make their own timetable.
They'll definitely do their own event.
And E3's not the time for it because otherwise they would be there. And so I think it's an opportunity for Microsoft to reach more people at E3 than they would normally because there will be slightly less noise.
Yeah. Well,
there'll be less noise out of Sony for sure, whether Google makes more noise and Nintendo if they've got new Switches to announce, and they're certainly not running unopposed or whatever.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there's the thing of like, does E3 actually matter enough for that arms race aspect of that show to matter at all?
Right.
Microsoft seems to think so. I think they've felt like they care about E3 and care about that large presence there still.
They did a very good press conference last year. Like it was probably the best one of the show.
And so I think that they have a good window here, I think, to say something. But I think you have to have more to say than they had last time. Yeah. Which was, they already started talking about next generation stuff last year.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to set my expectations at what they did for the first year of the X, which was to announce it as Project Scorpio and show some like sexy B-roll of a motherboard and some developer talking heads. And that was it.
I bet they'll have some.
Like, I hope it's more than that, but I'm not going to get.
I will bet that there will be footage of software.
That'd be great. I would love that.
Whether that's something that like you're gonna say like is accurate to it'll be marked up with like, hey, artist concept, blah blah blah.
Sure.
Not necessarily in engine action. Like as soft a touch they can say as the specs kind of dial in as the games get optimized, whatever. Yeah. But I bet they show something in terms of like, hey, this is supposedly a game running.
Yeah, I'd love to see that, or even hear a real name, or see like an early version of what the box looks like.
Get a developer up there to talk about it for like a minute.
Sure.
Yeah. I just mean I'm keeping my expectations low because it's going to be so far out from an actual release.
Right.
I don't want to go in expecting the world and be disappointed.
Yeah. But I could see them saying like, well, we'll see, man. I maybe I'm just completely wrong, but I could see them being like, here's Halo. Running on this stuff.
Yeah, I watched the Halo Infinite reveal trailer again over the weekend randomly, thinking like, hey, they haven't said anything about that in a while.
Yeah.
Like it's time, probably to say what that is.
But I feel like the thing to say about that is what that game is, but also where it's going to go.
If they show some amazing looking demo and then they're like, hey, this is running on the next Xbox, like that's a pretty big deal.
Or and then they're like, also you can play this in the cloud on your Xbox One, existing Xbox One,
right?
Or something like that.
Also, the other part of that is that game needs to be something really interesting and not just more Halo. But that seems to be what they're going for.
Yeah.
Who knows exactly what that is?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I will just read this other Xbox story now since we're kind of talking about it. This kind of ties in with that Discless S that is supposedly coming out this month, but there is a very persistent rumor being leaked and reported by all kinds of people at this point that a new tier of service called Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is coming out also this month, potentially. Like, it would make sense, if that new Xbox is coming out.
Yeah.
It would make
absolute
sense for this to launch alongside it.
This would, yeah.
Yep. I mean, when you look at the details of this, it's not that exciting. It's basically just Game Pass and Gold bundled into one tier. But if you're already an annual subscriber of those, you're not saving any money.
Yeah.
So, it's cool. It's $15 a month.
Well, isn't Game Pass 10
Yes.
and Xbox Live is 10. So
It's Xbox Live is 10 if you're monthly. If you buy it a year at a time, it's 60.
Oh, okay. So it's just kind of
Is there no year discount for this?
No.
Okay.
Well, not according to this rumor. Who knows if there are other details that didn't get leaked? But according to this rumor, it would basically be the same price as if you subscribe to both of the services annually because of that discount on gold. The one advantage I could see is if you wanted to dip into Game Pass for a month and play something, you would save money that way.
Right.
You'd save $5 by saying, "Hey, I'm going to sign up for a month and play whatever." And play Halo Infinite for a month online and then cancel. Like you'll save $5, but whatever. The point is, it's not like a huge savings. It's more of just a kind of an all-in-one. Like here's all of our services bundled into one thing.
Right. That seems like something that seems like the sort of detail that needs that has two more missing details around it.
Yeah, like maybe this leak is not complete.
Yeah, hey, also and you start to look at some of the other stuff swirling. It's like, if you announce that and then in conjunction with that, you're like, okay, and now the PC natively runs all Xbox One games, so you get full access there. Stream that shit on the Switch, like that. Those sorts of other things, maybe bundle that together into something bigger.
Yeah, because as is this
seems like something
fine.
They should have done
it's fine,
already.
Yeah,
but you look at it and go like, yeah, okay, yeah.
But since it's not like a big, not a big savings to the consumer, it's
Right.
kind of just a whatever, unless there is more to it that we're not hearing about.
Or unless they eventually plan on phasing out the other plans.
Oh, and like this is the only thing?
Yeah.
I think long term that's probably exactly what you do.
Do you think is that risky to have only a $15 a month tier?
I
guess
I think
Netflix is pushing closer to 15 every year practically.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think that you could even see the price adjust down at some point if that's like their primary offering and they're like not selling consoles, they're selling services. And I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That could go anyway.
Yeah.
15 doesn't seem out of the question for that type of service. But at some point, like the Game Pass access, like charging to play multiplayer games online, I think is something that when they start rubbing up against multiple platforms and start rubbing up against your streaming this shit anyway, I think that part of the offering becomes weirder over time.
Wow.
Whereas you get access to these games on Game Pass end of it makes more and more sense.
Sure.
So maybe that's how they end up changing the services. They're just like, oh yeah, you can play these games on the internet, of course.
Yeah.
Though even Nintendo is now charging for that stuff, so maybe that's out of step. But I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is it could go in a billion different directions. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, again, we may be speculating about
Yeah.
incomplete information here because this is just a leak, but it did come from like 3 different places.
Yeah, this seems like something they will definitely do. But like I said, it feels like that there's some other piece of this that we don't have.
Have they said flat? I mean, everybody keeps saying like, oh, that discless console is coming out, this new plan is coming out, but have they come out and said, hey, we're having an event on X date?
I don't think so.
We have an announcement to make before E3, anything like that at all?
Not that I've
So
seen.
that is all just rumor so far.
I guess so. Yeah.
Man, E3 is coming. Becomes more real
For me,
every
it's,
week.
Yeah. For me, it's like the E3 stuff, but like also what happens ahead of E3.
Yeah.
Sony's got their Nintendo Direct-like solution now.
Yeah.
Do they fit in one more of those before E3? What does Microsoft have to say between now and then? Like, there's just lots of little weird odds and ends, like loose ends that I think that will get tied up before E3. I guess, is kind of how some of this stuff
Especially if they want to
feels.
have the spotlight be on the new hardware.
Right.
That tweet that got posted and then deleted last week about Borderlands 3 coming out in September was accurate. September 13th. Exclusive to the Epic Games Store on the personal computer.
Yep.
Which has ignited a level of outrage about the Epic Games Store that I don't think we've seen so far. And there's always been some outrage about it.
I was gonna say, I didn't see much this time around, other than the review bombing stuff.
This is by far the craziest
It's
shit
the
I've
second
seen.
the console war is dead, Jeff.
Yeah.
Now it's something war. It's the exclusivity wars.
PC digital distribution platform wars.
Those accounts are free.
Yes.
You literally download it.
Like
Like the only argument I can even begin to listen to is just that the Epic Store is lacking a lot of functionality, which is true.
Totally.
But also, go check out their Trello board.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff is coming pretty quickly.
So they say.
Well,
Yeah.
There's some baseline stuff, cloud saves.
I guess what was it? The new Anno game is getting pulled off of Steam. Like they're gonna, it's the Metro situation where they're gonna honor pre-orders, but
Okay.
as of like the 15th or 16th, it's no longer purchasable there.
Oh, so they're still giving people a window like they did with Metro?
Yeah.
Of like, hey, you've got another week to buy it on Steam if you want to.
Right.
Weird.
Yeah.
I imagine that might be for like cases where they've sent out codes or something and they need to redeem.
Something like
something.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've already been taking pre-orders there, so
Yeah, that's just
rather than zero out all those pre-orders and
Yeah.
refund money or whatever they would have to do, they're just like saying, okay, yeah, we will support Steam in a secret way for people who bought it already. During the terms of this agreement.
That's so weird.
That's the stuff that's like really, and that's the stuff that like it's a lot of stuff that like probably went up on that store before there was an Epic Games Store and before they were throwing all this money at people for exclusives. And so I bet going forward you'll probably see a little bit less of that. But right now there's that overlap.
The Borderlands exclusivity is 6 months. So I think they are saying next April it will come to Steam. Or not, they are saying next April it will come to other storefronts.
Wait, it's timed exclusive and
Yes.
people are still.
A lot of these are,
Yeah.
But like, if you want to play Borderlands 3, you want to play it day of launch.
Oh, yeah.
And
I guess.
and then it becomes like whatever reason you have to not want to install a second store, whatever that is.
There are a lot of reasons that people offer for why they don't like the Epic Games Store.
Yeah. I saw,
Imagine if
I
people-
forget where the article, I don't know if it was Kotaku or not, but it was an article kind of saying like, hey, a lot of people are just being super fucking shitty about China
Yes.
Yes.
in a vaguely racist way,
Yes.
or maybe not so vague.
There was a table that got posted to Reddit of just a column of features with Steam and Epic Store, like yes, no, does it have this or not?
Yeah.
One of the features was Chi-Com spying, which is just some straight up Vietnam era
Yeah.
fear mongering about the Chinese Communist Party.
At that point, like, okay, if you are trying to cut Chinese money out of your life, it's a pretty deep hole that is
Hope you like your
bigger-
iPhone.
or Epic or Discord or
Reddit.
sure.
Reddit. They just got a huge Chinese investment.
Mm.
Man, imagine if people got this mad about like labor practices and stuff like that.
It's easier to take a stand on I don't want to install this other client for some vague reason that I'm very mad about.
Oh, I know why it's easier.
yeah.
Just seems like, I don't know, getting mad about stuff like that, stuff that has actual impact on video games and the lives of the people who make them seems to be maybe a better way to channel your rage.
Sure. I will say I don't like having to launch multiple clients to play games.
It's a bummer.
It's a hassle.
But I also support
But
I think
choice in the
competition
marketplace
is incredibly important.
Yeah.
I make myself launch every launcher I have installed every time I turn my computer on just to see all those icons in the tray, just to I just want to have
Battle.net.
seriously,
Epic,
yes.
yeah.
I want to have like the full experience of like, all right, this is what it would take to play everything. I just want to keep my eye on all that stuff.
I had to download Uplay.
Oh, I don't have Uplay installed, but that's kind of a weird layer between other
like
storefronts.
There's
and,
a mini version of
Yeah.
that client that exists in Steam. And
You can't close the Uplay window with a game open. What the fuck?
Yeah, why would you?
That's weird.
It says if you try and quit this, your game's gonna explode.
Yeah, well, you don't want your game to explode, do you?
Steam doesn't explode.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that even if you truly do like Steam, I think the fast track to seeing interesting improvements on Steam is better competition for Steam.
Totally.
Yes, they've
So-
already started. Like Steam has already started reacting to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that just seems like it's probably good for the marketplace. The exclusive stuff, like it's a hassle, but again, those accounts are free. Those accounts are free. Those accounts are free.
It feels like a transitional thing.
Yeah.
As Epic tries to build market share.
And they already built,
Well, they have some
for
but they
for non-Fortnite video games.
Yeah, they still
sure.
need to. They need to get people in there. They need to get people used to buying the games on their store.
Yeah.
And they're gonna sign some exclusives for a
those
while.
deals
That's
won't, probably won't be forever.
I wouldn't expect them to be doing this in perpetuity or anything.
Yeah.
Also, there's a $250 version of Borderlands 3.
Oh.
10 figurines.
They broke down the character classes too and stuff.
Yeah. I guess we could talk about that if you're interested.
Nah, there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
They all do something.
The Gunner, the
weird.
Siren, the Beastmaster, and the Operative are the classes.
So like fast stealth soldier class.
And
There's a puncher
pet
lady,
class.
and pet class.
puncher lady,
Yeah.
robot guy, beasts, and tech.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They added classes to Borderlands 2 post-release.
Mhm.
Like they eventually added like the tech romancer and some other stuff like that.
Oh, that's right. I remember that, yeah.
This has all gotten me really interested and really keen to play pre-sequel. I hear like really good things about it.
From who?
The
We're talking about the pre-sequel, the one on the moon?
the Telltale.
Okay, Tales from the Borderlands. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Yes.
That thing, yes. Okay. I've heard people talk positively about Tales from the Borderlands.
Yes.
That is accurate.
I have also heard that.
I was like, what fucking bad people are coming to you and saying, hey, you should play the pre-sequel. The oxygen stuff's really fun.
Oh God.
Fuck.
All right. Labo VR.
Yeah.
It's going to have support for Super Mario Odyssey and Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
All right. Next.
Do you think there's any possibility that one of the upgraded Switches is built around the idea of like, hey, here's one of these that is slightly better for VR?
No, absolutely not. I mean, are you familiar with that thing? You have to hold it onto your face.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way to bolt that thing. There is no headset involved. You have to literally hold the Switch up to your face like it's a God, why am I blanking on
the submarine
like
thing.
A camera, like a periscope.
God, no, the thing from the 80s, the
Viewmaster.
Viewmaster. Yeah, so like it's a Viewmaster.
I saw Michael Heim in GameSpot over there pretending to be an elephant using it.
Yeah. I mean, did you guys watch this video?
No.
You should watch the video.
I saw some of the other stuff, I guess.
Well, I mean, for these games, like, all right, so Mario Odyssey is getting like 3 mini levels, basically, like VR specific levels. Like, hang on, let me pull up the video.
I don't.
I love Mario. I'm not gonna play this. I don't need VR Mario.
God damn it.
A VR Mario from the ground up, like I would be interested to see what they do.
Like Astrobot proved to me that you can make a competent.
Sure, yeah.
Well, it shows a bunch of it in
VR.
this trailer. You guys should watch the trailer next time.
I read the article.
Join Mario for a bite-sized. God damn it, the player controls get in the way of the title.
Oh, weird.
Join Mario for a bite-sized bonus experience and simple family-friendly VR. I mean, it basically shows the little levels. It's just a bunch of like tiny rooms that he's running around in.
Yeah.
Like it is a very focused VR specific thing. Like it was made for whatever the Switch can pull off in VR.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so you hold it up to your face, and then you've just got the controls on the side.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is the Mario thing is very
because I know
straightforward.
it's like there's a lot of other
Yes.
stuff that's like pedals and
Yeah. This is just for the
weird
headset,
shit, right?
but
Yeah.
I'm pointing out the Mario stuff because that is a VR specific mode.
Mm-hmm.
To contrast it with Zelda, which just says the whole game is playable in VR, which is like what? Like that seems crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem that
unideal.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like something you absolutely could do. Whether you'd want to do it is a different story.
Yeah. But it's like that game barely hit 30 frames a second on a regular Switch screen. Like what does this mean for the VR version?
You're
of
halving the resolution on like a per eye basis,
right?
And,
like what is this mode? Because they basically say flat out like, hey, you can go into the options anytime you want, playing the real game, and just toggle VR on and off, which like does not seem like a Switch should be able to keep up with a proper VR mode in that game.
Yeah. Well,
So it makes me wonder what that actually is.
like lowering the resolution.
Well, so the footage
even
that they put out,
further.
the footage they put out of this is very noticeably lower resolution
Yeah.
than the actual game.
It would have to. I mean, it would have to be.
I am guessing this is actually just like a stereoscopic 3D mode for Zelda, and not like real head tracking.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah.
Like you're not gonna have any camera control by
Yeah.
moving it around. I'm guessing it is literally just 3D and nothing else.
That makes sense.
Which
But, yeah,
at
I
that
know.
point, calling it VR maybe seems a little disingenuous. But
Okay, here we go. A remake of Super Mario 64 where you play as a VR remake of Super Mario 64 where you play as the Lakitu.
Sure.
following around Mario, trying to keep up with him. You're like, it's like a Pokemon Snap thing where you're if you catch him doing cool moves and stuff, you get bonus points.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Call me, Nintendo. Reggie, I know it's your last day or whatever, but get at me.
That stuff's not coming out for a couple weeks after the launch of that thing, so we will find out then.
That stuff, I feel like they should have led with this on the Labo front, honestly. Like, I feel like my initial Labo experience has slightly soured me on it.
Yeah.
And then, like, their take on the VR stuff of, like, literally hold it up to your fucking face the whole time. And I imagine the head tracking is coming through the Joy-Con, so you probably can't take the Joy-Cons off and play separately or whatever.
I think that's the case.
Maybe you use a Pro Controller or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm glad to know what Labo is from the stuff that came out first.
Yeah.
To kind of know what to expect out of this, which is like not a ton.
It is a little different, you know, but also like cardboard VR solutions and what those have been. And sure. I think it's fun that they're doing this.
Yeah, totally. It's fine that they're doing it, but I just, I don't think nobody looking at this going like, oh, Nintendo's getting into the VR game is really looking at this the right way.
Yeah.
And I bet that is also true of those two things. BioWare. A bunch of stuff happened with BioWare last week.
Yeah.
Around that Kotaku article about BioWare.
Oh.
And Anthem.
Everyone is buzzing over at BioWare.
And the way that Anthem went at BioWare. We were kind of going to leave that big kind of expose alone until Casey Hudson, who was back running BioWare again, basically messaged the entire staff kind of agreeing with what the article said.
The staff of BioWare.
Yes.
Not the staff of Giant Bomb.
No.
Yeah.
No, his staff.
Yes.
There was an internal email that got out.
Well, like they posted a thing that was like super.
I'm skipping.
Their initial statement was
skipping a step.
Straight up garbage.
We don't believe in tearing each other down. It's bad for the industry.
It's like, okay, like that all makes sense, but that's not what that article was.
Yeah,
so
like their pre-written response didn't even necessarily address exactly what the article was about.
Yeah, that felt odd and like antagonistic in a way that I think made them look worse.
Yeah, so this email that he sent to employees of the studio is much more contrite and kind of in line with what the article
actually says.
Identified as the problems at that studio. The article mentions many of the problems in the development of Anthem and some of our previous projects, and it draws a link between those issues and the quality of our workplace and the well-being of our staff. Those problems are real, and it's our top priority to continue working to solve them. Like, that's kind of the, that's the money paragraph of this thing, is basically just him saying, like, yeah.
And it's kind of the interesting thing about that Anthem article is, like, people have kind of thrown the criticism at Summit Schreier's work and said, like, oh, this is, like, kind of tabloidy. There's no real news here. And that article feels like there are those bits about the workplace stuff feel like they're in there almost to anchor it as, like, no, there's like real stuff here. It's not just the salacious, here's what happened, here's why this game went wrong thing. There's more to it than that. So, I guess they're latching onto and addressing that actual issue.
I mean, the gist of that story is that the game languished in sort of pre-production idea phase without much vision or management or decision making for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And then they came down to the point where EA said, you have to ship this game by the end of the fiscal year, and they basically made the whole game in like 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it practically destroyed a lot of the people that tried to make it that way.
And then just the stuff with like the very clearly defined, like, this is the was it the Magic team?
The BioWare Magic is the phrase they kept harping on. Yeah, basically just kind of the idea that, like, hey, like,
these guys will get it done.
The BioWare Magic will kick in at the end, and we'll make an amazing thing. We'll just have to tough it out.
Like, even more specifically, this group of people is going to come through. These other guys, like...
Oh, yeah. So that's... Yeah, I mean, I have heard multiple times over the years, especially, like, as more and more studios were getting the BioWare name slapped onto them, that the people at, like, what was the original BioWare were more and more like, no, we're the real BioWare.
Yeah.
I don't know what all these other fucking studios are, but we're the real BioWare.
And, like, even Mass Effect Andromeda primarily came out of the Montreal studio, not the original Edmonton one, but Anthem was their shot.
Yeah.
And
the real BioWare.
Yeah.
Got it done.
So Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty long email if you want to read the whole thing. I mean, he goes into more detail about how they are rearranging the studio in terms of reporting lines and decision making and all kinds of stuff. It seems fairly earnest.
Yeah.
About admitting the problems with the way things have been happening there for a while.
I mean, they got to do something.
Sure,
they can't keep doing the same thing.
I mean,
you start to wonder, that's Casey Hudson, and he's the head of BioWare, but EA is still EA. EA still has its corporate goals. How do they shift in a way that makes it easier for them to meet whatever the external pressures are?
Yeah, I mean, there are examples in that story of EA undermining their process. You know, like pulling their programmers who were familiar with the Frostbite engine off of Anthem and putting them on FIFA.
Exactly.
Like, obviously, BioWare bears most of the responsibility here, but EA don't give a shit.
Yeah,
if there are player card packs to sell.
And FIFA, if you're looking at it from the EA perspective, FIFA probably sells a multiple of, brings in multiple of revenue than, Anthem ever will.
Yeah.
So you look at it from that perspective, you're like, of course you would do that.
From a coldly objective business standpoint, it's probably the right thing to do to put your resources into FIFA, but then that just raises the question of
why make Anthem?
Why are you making an Anthem in the first place if you're not going to support the process properly?
Great question.
Anyway, let's hope they are sincere about these changes. BioWare's made some good games in the past. It'd be cool if they made more.
I think some of this eventually gets into the territory of EA's reputation, or the people that the reputation that people have assigned to EA for killing studios after acquiring them.
Yeah.
Is the reality of how acquisitions go down and talent retention and talent contracts and all that other stuff for the key employees of a studio.
Yeah.
And when those things expire, you have people that got paid the fuck out that are like, cool, I'm not going to work here anymore.
Yeah.
And those, the doctors left BioWare. I can't say how much they were in charge of the culture, all that other stuff, but, Casey Hudson even left at a point, I have to imagine he would be one of the people that when they acquired BioWare, they were like, we need to make sure that we're retaining these sorts of people. And then at some point he was like, all right, cool, I'm out. That's how that happens. The culture changes, it's and that sort of stuff is just how it's how acquisitions work generally, right? Is people work out the terms of their contract. Some portion of them bounce when they're vested or, whatever when they're fully paid out or whatever, because they don't want to work for whatever company they just sold to. And then a new set of leadership has to rise out.
That's the thing.
And so you talk about BioWare has made some good games in the past. But this isn't the same studio that made those games. A lot of the people I'm sure are still there.
Right.
But the decision making, so much has changed around it that it's it's a different thing.
But I mean, it does fall to the parent company to manage that transition and make sure there is a new leadership team in place.
But at the same time, they're never going to get it done.
Well, not
they'll
it,
get some version of it done.
Get something done.
Something new.
Exactly. And I think that was the other thing that the article kind of reconfirmed was the notion people said EA made BioWare make this live game and all this other stuff. No, they wanted to take a stab at a different thing.
Yeah,
because it's a different group of people. And of course, even if it was the same group of people, I'm sure at some point they're like, let's try to do something else.
Yeah.
Instead of making these games where okay, yeah, we'll make them fuck because every game has to have this, I guess. Yeah, of course, make something different.
Instead, we're going to make this game like this other game, but we can't say the name of that other game.
Yeah. Well, no, instead you see the stories that Dragon Age 4 is being built on the Anthem tech, and you're just like, what are we even doing?
Well, that's spun as a positive in that story because they were throwing tech out and starting from scratch.
At least that tech is already, they know what's wrong with it, I guess.
They're actually trying to identify processes and improve them there. Yeah. Let's hope things get better for the people that work there.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Make better stuff.
These aren't hit pieces. I see people talking it's
yeah.
They're articles designed to bring issues into the public eye that are ultimately affecting how the games are made. They're affecting the lives of the people around.
I think this one is. I think if you go into some of the other stories that Kotaku has run of this ilk, when people say oh man, this is it is just kind of an expose. It is that thing of what happened here, and it answers the question of what happened here. And sometimes that's interesting in a labor issue sort of way or some other thing. But sometimes that's not the hook of the story, or that's not the case.
Specifically, like this story,
one, I think absolutely.
Story.
Like the people that levied those criticisms at those earlier stories, I don't think have too much of a leg to stand on here, because I think that this is a pretty different situation. That like the larger labor conversation around games, I think a lot of this is tied into that too. So whatever.
Yeah. I guess check back in 3-ish years. See how their next game turns out. Which I guess will be Dragon Age. You know what game is not going to make it to full release? Is Breach.
Yeah.
Which I thought was weird. Fairly popular?
No, I think we just got a lot of emails about it from the people
maybe it was
representing it.
Maybe. Oh. Huh.
I think they sent out a ton of press releases, but I don't.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of things to the game. Frequently.
I had thought it had a fairly active player base, but apparently that was not the case.
I guess I don't know one way or the other on that.
It hit like 1,200. I think the article said it was the it started around 1,200 and then proceeded to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It just came out in January in early access on Steam.
And it was cool. Like I played a bit of it, and I thought it was a little light, I would say, on some of the content, but for an early access game, seemed cool.
Seemed like a neat concept. We kept saying like, we'll do a video with it when they get a little more stuff in there, but instead they're shutting it down and shutting the company down. The servers, they have said, are going to be up until the end of the month. They're not selling the premium currency anymore. Was it free to play? Or did you buy into it?
I think it was like 15.
So, okay, well, that's not super expensive. But the one thing I don't see in this kind of farewell message is that they're going to do anything for people who bought it.
No.
Well, it sounded like they were like shutting their doors when the message went out. They're like, "This is our last day as a studio."
Yeah, I mean,
we're figuring out what that means for the game.
They do say, and like I guess to their credit, like they are trying to manage this transition for their team.
Yeah, I like
don't
the
have
quote
the resources
that they said there, where it's like we wanted to make this more calculated instead of just like, oh, by the way, we're done.
It's all gone. Yeah.
I mean, they're not doing nothing. Like they're reducing the cost of all the kind of premium goods in the store to basically nothing. So anybody that has the game can just play all that content for free, but only for the next 3 weeks, and then the game is just going to go away.
I thought I saw when the initial announcement went out, I thought that they hadn't really set a server shutdown date. It was more like, hey, we're going to leave the servers up.
This was in a follow-up statement, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, April 30th is the day that the game is going down.
Got it. And this launched in January, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it sounds like there is some messaging about if you made purchases recently is the word they're using. You can apply for a refund, but not people that just like bought the game 3 months ago or whatever. They're very earnest about like, hey, the game did not perform like we hoped it would, and we don't have the resources to keep it going and do what needs to be done for it. So this is unfortunate, but we don't really have a choice. It's just kind of a weird situation for a game to go away that quickly that seemed like it was going to be well supported.
Well, regardless of support, like it just seemed like for it to go away that quickly, when you think about the other games that kind of came and went fast, like this is like Culling 2 level of in and out, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Radical Heights.
Yeah.
Radical Heights even felt like it was around slightly longer than this. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm
maybe
trying to
not.
Think of any other games that are
even
close to this.
Yeah.
And I can't really.
Yeah.
In a similar vein, they being Ubisoft, has posted a thing about Starlink, saying they're not going to make toys anymore.
Oh.
Yeah. They've got new content hitting, but it's digital only, right?
They have a big April update that they're teasing that's going to have a bunch of, let me back up. Despite the immense and continuous support from our players, the sales for Starlink, Battle for Atlas, fell below expectations. Consequently, we recently made the decision to not release any additional physical toys for the spring update and in the future. But they do say there is a lot of digital stuff in that spring update. Ships, pilots, and weapons. Some new modes, races, and stuff like that. They don't really talk beyond this April update, though. Like, they kind of do and they kind of don't. Like, it's hard to tell if
this is it.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if they're going to put out this big update for April and then be like, well, thank you for playing Starlink. This is it.
Starlink, granted, I did not play through all of the content there, but that game also felt like a game with a real shelf life to it in terms of like, okay, I finished the thing. I'm not going to just go endlessly run missions over and over again.
Right.
So if this has more like story type of content in it, that's interesting.
Yeah,
but it's
they
hard
say
to imagine going back to like wanting more pilot. There are already so many, like if you bought the like expensive version that came with all the digital unlocks, or if you bought all the toys, I guess there's already so much shit in there in terms of ships and weapons and everything that it was already kind of a lot. I don't know, but I guess if you're into it, then you probably would want a little more.
Yes,
probably okay with a little more anyway.
Yeah. It's hard to tell from their statement if it's just the toys that aren't selling well or if it's just the platform in general has a limited lifespan.
My guess is both.
Yeah. Well, definitely
but,
the toys.
But especially the toys.
Yeah. Will they keep putting out DLC or not?
Like who's gonna? Yeah.
Remains to be seen.
Toys R Us still exist when they put this thing out?
No.
No.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
think so.
Yeah. The toys thing, man.
Yeah.
Like even before Starlink came out, it felt like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like they knew which way the wind was blowing, and they're like, hey, you can get all this stuff digitally too.
Yes.
You don't need the toys.
Yes.
It's like, great, cool.
When
I'm playing this on a Switch, so what am I,
When that game bubbled back up, was it last fall when it came out?
Yeah.
Holiday-ish? Yeah, like there was definitely a moment of like, oh, right, somebody is still making a Toys to Life game.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It's like kind of cool. You turn the guns around on the ship, and then it'll fire backwards.
There's a neat idea.
There's neat ideas for sure. But yeah.
That market kind of dried up. All right, that's all I got for news. You guys want to plow straight into the emails?
I'm down.
All right.
Yeah.
Why don't we just keep going then? In this inbox that I have here open in front of me.
Great.
It's dangerous. Emails continue coming in even as the show is happening.
What's the most recent one?
This is the second most recent one, but the subject line really caught my eye. I haven't read this one, so this is kind of
terrific.
Flying blind.
Holy shit!
I bought a TV with a PS2 built in.
What?
Was it from Exhibit, and was it also in a car?
It's from Grant. I bought a TV with a PS2 built into it. I managed to pick it up for £40. Is that a good buy?
Sounds heavy.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it.
I
Does
can only
Jeff
probably
have
lift
any
like 30.
information? He attached a bunch of weird. Yeah, he attached photos of this thing. It's a Sony TV.
Yeah.
It looks like I'm trying to.
Looks like a PS2 is in it.
Pivot that screen over here.
There's not much to these pictures. It's hard to verify.
PlayStation 2 logo.
Right, like it's a TV with the PlayStation 2 logo on the screen. He's got some pictures of the inputs, but I'm not really seeing anything.
I want to see where the
console-ish
discs go.
Right, like.
Jan, if you could get a TV with any console built in, what would it be?
A PS1. Yeah.
Why?
I'm not seeing a lot of.
I like that CD visualizer.
Okay. Yeah.
Am I imagining that? That was a thing,
Oh.
right?
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
The remote control very explicitly has a button labeled PlayStation 2. So I'm going to say that is some pretty hard evidence that this thing actually has a PS2 built into it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
weird. Who knows?
It's certainly not the first time that a console has been built into a TV.
Yeah.
I don't know that I had seen a PS2 one before, but that's cool.
Yeah. I'm always a little bit fascinated with like consoles combined with other things.
Yeah.
Like that was it the Panasonic Q?
Yeah. Yeah, the DVD playing
GameCube
that thing
slash
just looks
DVD
cool,
player.
It
Yeah,
looks like a
also
GameCube, but it's fucking chrome.
That thing. Also, it's like it's like two GameCubes on top of each other, but chrome.
Chrome ass GameCube. Chrome the fuck out. I wanted a Q real bad.
Yeah.
But didn't like the GameCube enough to justify.
Weren't they super expensive at the time?
They were more expensive at the time, and they've only gotten pricier, I think, as time has gone on.
It's a wild looking thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of weirdly sort of like
washing machine.
retro futuristic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like there's TVs with Super Nintendo or Super Famicoms built into them, and like all that sort of shit.
Yeah. All right. Let's dive into the vetted emails. Nothing but high quality here.
Finally, the high quality emails.
Yes. Brady from Boise, Idaho. It seems like the majority of conversations around Google Stadia come down to how it will either crash and burn or take over the world. Is there any way that Stadia can just fit into the industry, kind of like another console? Google doesn't seem like the kind of company that wants anything less than complete success, but given the current internet infrastructure, I find it difficult to see that happening soon, especially given how adverse gamers are to rapid change. For example, the Xbox One reveal.
I think that Google probably is in it to win it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're in it because they think they can make a ton of money.
Right. And it seems like they are investing a ton of money.
Right. And if they don't, then why do it?
Right.
or why continue to support it?
Yeah.
Which is, I think, how they've run some of their other businesses. So I think that's why you see this kind of all or nothing talk around it.
Yeah.
As that's just the rep that Google has now.
They seem, well, and just looking at the way the instances are built and the way they're courting developers and stuff, they seem to be shooting for the moon, right?
Right,
They're trying to make it a
yeah.
real platform, not just like, because there are already services out there. Like, what's the NVIDIA one that you can sign up for that's basically...
GeForce Now?
That's the,
GeForce
right. That's
Go,
the
GeForce
one that
Now.
lets you basically spin up a VM that is
Yeah.
like a decent PC, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, like, so those
I played
services...
some Street Fighter Cross Tekken on one of those not that long ago.
Right, like those services already exist and seem to coexist pretty well with the other stuff that's out there, right?
Yeah,
But-
but this is...
But it doesn't seem like Stadia is, that's not what's...
Right, and
Google is
NVIDIA
building.
didn't go out there and try to, like, you know, get developers to make new games exclusive for the thing
Right.
and all that other stuff the way that the way that Google seems to be.
Yes.
So that's the difference there, is they're trying to make this the equivalent of a platform.
Right. So Google themselves are probably not going to allow that thing to just be a moderate success.
Yeah, I mean, moderate success is to them is probably like, well, you know, we had all these cloud nodes out there anyway.
Right.
So why not let people play games on them for money?
Right. But they're going around installing a bunch of custom hardware in all those
Right.
data centers and stuff.
Yeah.
Seems like a big deal. Tim from Brisbane in Australia. My local pub has a Japanese Point Blank cabinet, and it got me thinking, is Point Blank the original WarioWare?
No, because I want to say
Bishibashi.
WarioWare came... Yeah, Bishibashi...
I feel like that probably predates Point.
What is Bishibashi?
Bishibashi is a series of like
Oh, that,
mini games.
that even looks like a WarioWare game, kind of.
It's kind of...
There's even a... That looks an awful lot like a WarioWare game.
And then there's the N64 DD game that actually has some WarioWare mini games in it,
Oh, weird.
like pre-WarioWare.
What is Point Blank?
It's the light gun game.
Light gun.
Dan
but it's like-
Don.
Shoot a bunch of balloons, or it's not like a.
Yeah.
You're not
like
shooting
a
dudes.
rapid
You
fire.
have one bullet to do this, and
Yeah.
I want to say if that was a Japanese cabinet, it would not be called Point Blank. It would be called Gun Bullet
Gun bullet.
or Gun Barrel, BARL.
Oh
Gun
man,
Gun bullet.
Gun bullet.
Wow. Japan always has better names for games.
So yeah.
Ben from the UK. Listening to your discussion of games that define this generation last week made me think, are we really going to go an entire generation with no new GTA game? Not counting GTA 5 as it was technically a last-gen game. Do you think there is a true this-gen GTA game that's not yet been announced, or would any GTA game announced now be next-gen? It almost seems impossible to me that the biggest franchise in the world more or less skips a generation.
I mean, they continue to update GTA Online
Yeah.
and probably still make a handsome amount of money off it every goddamn day.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure if you ask them, they'd say like, whatever, GTA 5 never left.
Right.
Like it's,
Yeah,
you know,
like-
it was in the sales charts. It probably is still in near the top of some sales charts
Yes.
somewhere.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
always in like the annual NPD
yeah.
top 10 or top
Wasn't there
15.
an article saying it was like the highest grossing
I-
video game or like entertainment property of all time or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've crossed that line.
I think
yeah.
they sold like 100 million copies of the game, and like the online mode alone has grossed like $1 billion or something insane like that.
Yeah, and they put out Red Dead, so you know, and,
Totally,
and
yeah. Like, I mean, if you weren't like paying a lot of attention to what Rockstar is up to, and you just remember the days of like, I mean, what, there were 3 GTAs on the PS2?
right.
Like, if you're looking at that, I could see the
Yeah.
kind of shock that like, oh, we didn't get a real GTA this on
Mhm.
these consoles, or not. I mean, a new one, you know.
Sure.
But Rockstar is just not that company anymore.
No.
They have a different focus and a different process now.
Yeah, the internet
Yes.
fucked it all up.
Yes. Also, they just
people are way less interested in story-driven GTA content these days, I bet.
yeah. Also, they
Uh,
just seem to be a one-game developer now.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, because it wasn't like
Because they used to have, you know, it's like I forget which studio made Bully, but like one studio would put Bully out, and,
Right.
and Red Dead 1 came out of San Diego,
Mhm.
while North was doing the GTA games, and like
now it's like
It
everything
seems
kind of
like-
comes from everywhere.
it seems like everybody just made Red Dead 2 for 5 years, and now presumably they will all make the next game together.
right.
Do you think people are less interested in single player GTA stuff, or do you think that we don't see it because it doesn't make them $1 billion every day? Because I feel like I mean, there was no real story stuff for 5, right?
Right, there was no
4
DLC.
had like Ballad of Gay Tony and
Right.
the other one that
The
were both
Lost and
really
Damned.
positively received.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Red Dead had Undead Nightmare,
Yeah. Mhm.
again, really positive.
But like that was like more of a
That was a weird, goofy thing.
yeah. It wasn't really tonally the same. I don't know. I honestly, and I feel like I've said this multiple times, and they've proven me wrong. But like, it's really hard for me to imagine like the next GTA.
Well, one of the Housers gave a quote a few months ago to that same effect.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I feel like that's been something that's been harder and harder for them to achieve. I bet it's been harder and harder for them to achieve as they've gone on, without retreading similar concepts.
Part of it is, they just keep telling sort of the rags to riches crime story in multiple settings over and over.
Yeah, and I think they hit a lot of the settings. So there's a part of me that was like, I really liked San Andreas and that setting, and I like that West Coast shit. So if they were to revisit that, that might be interesting. But it'd be inherently less interesting because they've done it already. So
Wait, where was 5 said?
L.A.
It was it was LA, but not the 90s,
it's not the
gang banging ass
boys
shit.
in the hood.
That they had before.
But they did that.
They did that.
That exact thing.
Yeah. And GTA 5, I think, was a more modern, in some ways, a more modern take on some of that same stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's just. I think the state of the world right now is fucking ridiculous in a way that reads like GTA.
That's kind of. I think that's what that quote was pertaining to. Was basically like, how do you satirize?
Yeah. How do you satirize this shit
at this
with
point?
where we're at right now? You just look at it and go, "Fucking what the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like that's hard as a writer, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They play it super straight.
Yeah. I mean, sure, but
I would love to see the next thing from them be a new property.
Yeah,
I would love to see like a game on the scale of Red Dead 2, but like not Red Dead or GTA.
Yeah.
Like just something totally new from them.
Yeah.
But with that level of production. But
yeah, I think that could be really interesting.
Yeah.
And GTA Online will continue to make money for them and for a good long time. Like I wonder if that's like doing better than Red Dead, because I feel like
I would think so, just because there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It feels like some of the stuff they had to do around Red Dead in terms of the adjustments to the economy and I haven't checked in on it personally, but I'm left with the impression that like people are not into Red Dead Online.
Well, there just wasn't a ton to do.
Yeah, which I guess was the case of GTA Online.
I feel like it took a good year or two for GTA Online to really get off the ground and build up a huge player base.
Yeah, so maybe that's something that they eventually grow into and just live off of that for years and years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But also like there's nothing surprising to me about them not having a new GTA for these consoles. Like that, I don't think they've got one waiting in the wings that they're just like days away from announcing. That I just don't think that would make sense.
Check back in another 5 or 6 years to see what they've got next. Patrick from Boston.
Table Tennis 2 launch game for the next set of consoles.
There you go. Listening to the game of real or fake Kongs, and it got me thinking: are Kongs given their names at birth, therefore predetermining that Kong's style, mannerisms, and personality? Or does the Kong have their name given to them once they reach the Kong equivalent of adulthood? I think it might be the latter, since there is Diddy Kong and Kiddy Kong. Those can't be their names forever, right? If it's the former, that's like naming your kid Jeeves.
No, I mean, there's Junior. Like, that's an
adult name.
It's an adult name.
But that's Donkey Kong Jr.
No, I'm just saying like a guy.
But I mean, like if you name your baby Cranky Kong, like you're just like, what are you saying about their...
How are Smurfs born?
Oh, no.
Because it's probably exactly like that.
Don't even... Hang on.
I agree with him that it's the latter.
I've never heard a phrase more ready to be typed into Google.
Safe search.
While Brad figures out how Smurfs are born, I definitely agree that's the latter, because there's no way I could name my kid Funky, and there's no way that he is going to grow up to be as Funky Kong. Like that is a creature that somebody looked at and said, your name is Funky Kong now, and he said radical and hanged loose and then flew away on
There's
a plane.
nothing funky about saying radical and saying hang loose.
I mean, this was like
that's the thing. Funky Kong is not actually funky.
He was in the 90s. Funky Kong was funky in the 90s. Times have changed.
By 90s funk standards,
I
could see it.
Somebody asked George,
but it's still it's even a stretch then.
Somebody asked George Clinton what he thinks of Funky Kong. Let's try to get an authority.
I bet
Ask him what he thinks of any of the Kongs.
Smurfs are delivered by Stork to the Smurf village.
Okay, are they named out of the gate? Like, probably, right? I bet Jokey Smurf showed up as Jokey Smurf with the fucking package that exploded and all that shit.
Probably.
Like they undid his diaper to change him, and like.
Or is there some kind of like coming of age ceremony where none of them have names at all?
A Kong mitzvah.
Yeah, and then they have some ceremony where some elder Kong statue comes to life and like shoots them with lightning and says, "You're funky," and then the glasses appear.
They have to collect.
You're like,
they have to collect the 4 letters K-O-N-G,
okay.
And once they do, they're imbued with extra life.
I started to read some more facts about Smurfs and then decided to close that tab instead.
It's like the 7 dwarves, right? Like they just you name them based off how they are.
I mean, some of them are going to be.
Maybe those aren't their real names. Maybe those are just nicknames based on.
It's got to be a case by case basis because you can look at Lanky Kong and be like, "Oh, that motherfucker, day 1 is going to be named Lanky Kong. Look at this baboon with these fucked up arms."
Maybe Funky Kong's real name is like Earl, and he's just funky.
Who's the funkiest Earl?
E40.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the Earl of Sandwich, but that's way better.
No.
Earl Funky Kong.
Yeah, that's I'm going with that. None of them are actually named that except for Donkey Kong.
Okay.
Who just never got a nickname.
They just have real names.
Yeah.
There's like
Steve Kong.
There's like Cornelius
You
Kong.
can call me Cranky. Except he's actually was Donkey Kong. So like that's the thing. There you go. Because at one point Cranky Kong was Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Oh right.
And then he got Cranky. Yeah. And so Donkey Kong Jr. is now in true Vince McMahon fashion. They don't like the name Junior, so they just call him Donkey Kong.
Okay. Who's the sexy one? Cindy Kong?
Fucky Kong.
Next email from
Brent from Manitoba. Jeff's Mr. Stream has me wanting one. The problem is I've done some research, but I do not understand what they are.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Could you give a for dummies explanation of what is needed to get one running? My imaginary perfect version of how it should work is that it is a board that comes loaded with every old game ever made and plugs directly into a monitor, but I doubt that's how it works.
Yeah, you should. I was going to say you should buy one of those weird Chinese bootlegs off of Alibaba or something.
Super not what that is.
No.
So I think we've talked about it before. I guess we would be kind of summarizing here, but I feel like the amount of Mr. Talk and use on this site has exploded in the last few weeks.
So it's
probably worth revisiting.
So it's a Tarasic DE10 Nano is the actual base board that you're getting. And with just that, you can put some games and the software on an SD card and play some stuff.
Yeah.
To play a lot of other things, you will need an SD RAM add-on board, which those you can't just get off Amazon. There are people out there that manufacture those depending on where you live.
Yeah. You can get I didn't realize this until I started looking into it. You can get the DE10 Nano straight off of Amazon.
Yes, that's where I got mine.
It's just out there.
I just bought mine off Amazon
because that thing is not like purpose built for this.
Nope. No, it's
like
that
thing is a like chip prototyping piece of hardware that people use for industrial applications.
Yeah, you can get it for like 120-ish, 130-ish bucks.
Yeah.
And then you just the only real thing you need if you're going to be HDMI out to a TV is that basic board and the SD RAM add-on board. Which all the add-on boards for it are open source designs.
Yeah.
So anyone can make them. If you're like good at doing that shit, you could order blank boards somehow, however the fuck you do that, and solder all the shit in yourself.
Yeah.
But people do that and then sell the add-on boards. So you're better off probably going that route.
It's kind of a little cottage industry.
Yeah. And the only thing you really need is that bare board, which you can get off Amazon, an SD RAM add-on board, which will, then you're fully compatible with pretty much everything that's out there, and an OTG hub, like a micro USB hub to plug in your USB devices, and that apparently should be an OTG hub, which I'm still not 100% clear what an OTG hub is compared to just a regular ass USB hub, but it sounds like that's the thing you actually need.
Traditionally you get one OTG per combo. Yeah. You use like a floor bounce assist, like scrolls.
Exactly. No, you
gives
get
the
this
lift,
hub,
and then you get this
you can do like
tag
6
in.
ports, and you just really are just nailing
DHC
people.
at that point.
What if you want to wait for LL Cool Joy?
Well, that's the thing. Like, then there are multiple add-on boards from there that are like, if you want analog out, you need the I/O board.
Just like saying LL Cool J.
Yeah, the LL
but I mean, that is an example of like somebody looked at what's out there and said like, hey, I'm going to make a thing that's lower latency and has ports for all the old controllers. So that board is now coming.
Right.
I guess the other thing, which I am not super clear on, that people getting into this would want to know is, I mean, so you need a core, which are all open source and are being developed as we speak.
Yeah.
Like, none of them are like kind of quote unquote finished. Like people are working on implementing all of these different consoles. But like, what is the best way to keep up with that stuff? Like, are you keeping up with like GitHub repositories of these cores as they get updated?
I am, because I'm out of my fucking mind. Yeah. But someone has made like the community around this stuff is still growing. Right. So there's now like the Mr. Software. So you'd have to basically, you're downloading a RAR file from GitHub, and that's an installer that you're going through to install all the Mr. Software onto your SD card, and that gets you like the main menu. And then from there, it's like, okay, now I need cores, which are the things that kind of act like the consoles, the NES core, the Commodore 64 core. And then from there, it's like, okay, now I need the game files to also exist on that SD card in whatever format they need to be in to work, which are pretty standard formats. There is an updater script that you can run that will...
From the Mister?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That you run from the Mister.
So it's pretty automated at this
that
point.
Just will scroll through. Basically, it's looking at GitHub and going, have there been any releases pushed, compiled and pushed since last time we looked?
Okay. So
and it will update your whole system. There's some uncommenting you might need to do if you want it to also automatically update like the Linux base underneath it all. But that's as easy as like, you just go into the scripts directory, run the updater script, and it just runs. And so like I've said, I feel like every time I talk about it, I'm always like it's practically a disclaimer. Like, it's a pretty tinkery thing. Yeah. That you're gonna want to be able to you're gonna want to know how to FTP into it over your network, or set it up as a Samba share, which is not that hard to do, or SSH into it in some cases to make some minor changes.
Some like basic Unix proficiency would be good to have.
Some basic understanding of what this stuff is doing is handy. Yeah, it's not the sort of thing like it's the wiki on GitHub for it is actually really useful in terms of like getting you up and running and getting you started on that stuff. But past a certain point, it is you editing INI files on the Mister itself to set your video modes, and like, oh, I need to change VSync for this core to get this thing working right, and all this other stuff that you may or may not dip into harder. And then at that point you do need to sort of at least know what you're doing with a computer. It's not as easy as just like, well, I threw a bunch of stuff on a RetroPie and here it is. And like, it doesn't run great, but
Yeah, the thing to know, I think, with the cores and the daughter boards that keep coming out for that thing is that it's pretty early and still very much in flux.
Yeah, so it's been around for a while now, but yes,
I mean, people using it for this purpose.
It's picked up. Like the interest around it, I think, has picked up a lot over like maybe the last 6 months, or maybe a little more now. And
point being, if you get in now, like, things are changing.
Yes,
fairly quickly.
Frenzy, as I understand it, the arcade core for Frenzy just hit today.
Okay.
Along with some handy NES updates for like MMC5 games, and the audio and gimmick now supposedly works better.
Also, I saw some people in the chat on your stream last week asking like, oh, can you, I forget what they were asking for specifically, but it was a bunch of sort of tweaks that you would get out of your kind of standard emulators for speeding up or slowing down time, or adding weird stuff like that. And like, that's not really what this is about.
Generally speaking,
this is like more about accuracy.
Yeah. Yes and no. There are some things where like, for the Spectrum core, you can enable a turbo mode that will speed up loading.
Right.
Or maybe that's the MSX. Anyway, like, that stuff does exist. There's a loading speed up for the Atari home computer core that will make the games, I believe, load slightly faster. Maybe it is just MSX or Spectrum. But anyway, it's not about save states. It's not to say that stuff's impossible. And I think there are people that are like eyeballing that stuff and going like, maybe this is something we could do. But it seems like it is not as easy to, the way you would build an emulator to be like, oh, let's just monitor RAM at all times and freeze these values and do this and that. Like, the core files you're loading are basically like descriptions of microchips,
right?
In some ways, so it's less a piece of software and more like you're programming the thing to act deliberately like this.
Yeah.
And because you're doing that, you're not necessarily getting a ton of speed benefits or loading time benefits and stuff like that along the way. So for people that want to like, rewind games and record tool-assisted speed runs or just like, have that level of save state manipulation and stuff like that, like that's just not there.
Yeah.
And I don't know that ever will be the way that it is in some emulators.
Doesn't seem to be the focus
like,
of...
Yeah, I mean, and maybe someone will come along and that's, because it's open source, maybe someone will care explicitly about that and they'll come up with some innovative way to make it all work and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like, watching the people that are working on this stuff kind of talk about it, that's the impression I've gotten as a non-technical observer of the project.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's neat.
Yeah. That stuff is super cool, but it is a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Not something to necessarily jump into lightly unless you're ready
to
do a fair amount of configuration. And
but
stuff.
I'll say, like, you should go to the wiki go to their GitHub repo for it, read over the wiki, and if any of that stuff like completely scares you away, then you'll know.
Yeah,
but
that's probably
like, that stuff is not. It's pretty logical to set it all up. It's not, it is not rocket science.
Yeah. Chris from Germany. Apropos of nothing, someone I know reminded me of a canceled Interplay project from the late 1990s, Star Trek: The Secret of Vulcan Fury. For the time, this project looked ambitious as hell. There's a trailer on YouTube. And even though the game was reportedly canceled due to massive budget issues after only being like 5% complete, the producers managed to record over 7 hours of voice dialogue from each and every member of the Star Trek cast, including all three who have since passed away, DeForest Kelley, James Doohan, and Leonard Nimoy. My question is, barring for a moment the probability that this data probably didn't survive, would it even be legal if, say, one of the game's producers were to leak a copy of the audio files that someone might have squirreled away on a hard drive somewhere? I realize it's just a pipe dream and that the tracks are likely truly lost to time, but I just thought it would be amazing to listen to all that lost content, even if the game it was recorded for does not exist, especially given that 3 of the iconic actors are no longer with us.
I mean, legal, almost certainly no.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stop, like stuff from leaking out all the time. And you could probably do it in an anonymous enough way that no one's going to come for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Speaking as a member of the company that owns Star Trek, I don't actually know what we should say here, but
we should say live long and prosper.
That's right.
Yep.
CBS All Access.
Star Trek Discovery in stores now.
Yeah.
It's not in stores.
I don't know. Yeah, I would be way into being able to hear that stuff.
Yeah, that would be
That'd
cool as
fun.
hell. And it got me. Well, this email got me thinking at first when I read it. It was like, does this guy actually have the shit? And
Yeah,
is
the
he
way you
asking
were-
for
Yeah.
permission? But then B, like, yeah, what is the likelihood that stuff did survive? Because like Interplay is basically just a shell. At this point.
Interplay kind of went away, and
Right.
kind of the name came back.
Yeah.
Like it went through
It's just
whatever
like
it went through.
some kind of holding company or
It's
something.
like a
now.
fairly different thing now. Well, it's still like Ryan Fargo, right? I mean,
I don't think so.
or is he in exile?
Yeah, he
Right.
found it in
Oh,
exile.
okay.
He's been long
Yeah,
gone. Like I don't know who like,
what is
owns Interplay
what is
at this
actual
point.
Interplay? Yeah.
but also like what would that have been recorded on? Like, Jan, any idea? Late 90s, what you would be doing voiceover
Jeez.
on?
Mini
Oh,
discs.
Mini disc?
That
No,
or
some
like
kind of DAT,
almost a tape.
Yeah.
DAT tape or
It'd
something like
probably,
that.
it'd probably DATs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, what were they for like game tapes we did with Tiger Woods? Like, what would it look like they were recording
Oh,
on?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't think they showed any of the recording stuff. They just showed him.
They
on
just
the
showed
mic.
him saying, "Bring plenty of cash."
And licking his lips.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I've mentioned it before, but it reminds me of the developer I talked to one time who squirreled away a bunch of source code for their game in the ceiling
Yeah.
of the rented office they were in.
Maybe it's
And-
still there.
And as far as he knew,
Maybe it's still there.
assumed it was still up in the ceiling tile. So I don't know. Maybe those tapes are out there somewhere.
Yeah.
We need to get in that room.
We could certainly
I
get in touch with that person.
drive past that building twice a day.
Oh wait, you know what I'm talking about.
I know, yeah.
Okay. All right then. I think it was source code. Something like that.
Then we'll have the source code.
That always goes well when someone just finds the source code and tries to sell it or do something with it. Doesn't lead to It was like Al Lowe had the Leisure Suit Larry source code, and he was just trying to sell it on eBay.
What?
This was like not that long
sounds
ago.
like something Al Lowe would try to do.
And I
The
think
source code is just be horny.
Yeah, Activision was like, no. Well, is it? Yeah, because they bought Sierra or whatever. I think they were just like, nope, can't do that. Yeah. Do not do that.
Cease and also desist.
And so I think that led to Jason Scott of archive.org. I think it led to him reading the source code aloud on a live stream or some fucking nonsense.
Is that like when you enter something into the congressional record?
Something like that.
By reading it out and then it can't be classified because it's in the record now?
I guess. I think that's what that was.
That is insanity.
I should go back. Yeah. Good shit.
Steven from Sacramento. Why don't you play the full break song anymore? It's not even that long, but I miss humming along with it when it pops up. And when I load it up on YouTube, it just feels like cheating. I cut that thing down to like a less than 10-second kind of stinger.
Yeah.
Because I thought people just wouldn't want to sit there and listen to the entire song every week.
Mm-hmm.
But
I still have that on my phone as like a ringtone ready file.
People ask this frequently enough.
Do you have it over there?
I mean, I've got it. I could,
Yeah.
We'll just kind of leave it. Sure.
Read the next email.
Yeah. Let me put this out on vinyl.
I just assumed that, it's like, people just want to get back to the podcast faster. They don't want to listen to a long break thing all the time. But maybe I'll start dropping.
Yeah, because every other part of the show is so tight.
Yeah, I know. Sure. Whatever, man. It's an old track. Thing's been around.
Yeah.
I figured people were kind of over it by now, but
of the music that we could and potentially should change on this show, that track is not on the list.
No,
that's
still
not
a
up,
banger.
it's not up for debate. That track still works.
Yeah,
as well as it did.
All right, maybe I'll
needs lyrics. If you have lyrics for the break song, send them into Bombcast at giantbomb.com.
I just want to hear on the after show. I want to hear which Yin Yang Twins song do you think fits best with the break music?
Bad with Mike Jones.
Okay.
I think that's actually my favorite song ever.
Ever. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Followed by We Belong by Pat Benatar.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
It's not even the best song that's called Bad.
Well, this is with 2 Ds, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's totally different. All right. Segue into a music email. Manny from Denver. As the resident music man at Giant Bomb, I'm curious if Jeff has ever been, or if by the time it started, the idea of baking in the desert sun with a... Oh, God, I should have read the subject. This email makes no sense if I don't read the subject line first. Has Jeff ever wanted to go to Coachella?
No. Not at all.
The body of the email made no sense without that preamble. Yeah. I went in 2004.
Yeah.
Which, reading this email, made me look up the lineup from 2004.
Yeah. Who were your headliners?
All I remembered from my memory was Radiohead, Pixies, and The Cure.
Okay.
Oh.
That's pretty good.
And
good.
Beck.
All right.
Who played
2004 Beck.
Who played in a little tent, like a little side tent.
Yeah.
It was like he was not a headliner at all. Let me see. But then I looked it up this morning and there was a ton of I was like, holy shit, I really went to that show. What do we got? Radiohead, Pixies, The Sounds, Air, Flaming Lips, Bell and Sebastian, Kraftwerk, MF Doom, Kool Keith, Latigra, whole bunch of shit. A lot. Mogwai, like I said, Beck, LCD Sound System. It was a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't shower all weekend.
Why would you?
We were in a tent.
Yeah.
We didn't have the money to stay anywhere but a tent.
Yeah.
And the lines for the communal showers were long, and that shit looked grody. So,
yeah,
the alternative was to just sit in the desert for 2.5 days.
At some point, you wrap around the other end and start smelling really good. I bet.
Yeah. Also, we left in the middle of the Cure's encore and drove back to the airport and flew straight into work.
Oh, yeah.
Like I went straight back to this building after staying up all night, flying back up here. It was weird. Let's see here. Let's talk about Telecom real fast before we get out of here.
Finally.
Freakers follow-up with PH, spelled properly.
Mm-hmm.
Jake from Vancouver. I work at a major telco in Canada and was working on one of our main distribution frames while you were discussing phone freaking last week, so I thought I'd share a bit. Copper use has been on a steady decline with the rising adoption of fiber directly to the customer. However, there are currently many areas where there are disagreements between local governments and service providers, and copper is still the only technology offered. We can currently bond 2 copper lines at the modem for a max of 150 megabits down, but with a fairly measly upload, usually around 15 to 25 up. Almost all customers on copper have TV, internet, and phone service. There's an area with active customers on cable that you still have to solder the jumper wire to. Nearly century-old access technology still somehow offering reliable modem service. Lots of businesses are still using copper with their more complex internal systems, and many people request to have fiber internet, TV, and a copper landline if possible, as the sound quality is much higher on copper versus fiber's voice over IP. Every copper.
That's true. I mean, VoIP sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's way more efficient, and also who cares because it's just transmitting voice. But compared to the way phone lines used to sound, yeah,
not so good.
I agree.
Yeah. He's got a couple more facts here.
I used to call They Might Be Giants dial a song and record their songs off the phone and onto a tape.
Just holding the receiver up.
No, I had an answering machine that could record calls and it didn't beep.
Perfect.
So you could just hit it.
That's a good scam.
Yeah.
Every copper line is still...
I have a lot of tapes of like various phone calls I had through that era.
Man, that's dangerous.
A lot of threats. So my phone number was also like the phone number given out. I gave it out on public access television.
Okay.
So there was a lot of fucking... It was like YouTube comments coming in over a phone.
I forget bringing some of those tapes.
Is California a one-party consent state? I forget.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, so you're not. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, taping system will get you in trouble.
Yeah.
If you're not careful. Every copper line still has a dial tone and number as it helps trace circuits out to the field. The only people you hear talking on the phone are seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the landline heyday, employees would hook up their lineman's set directly to the box office line and jump the queue to buy concert tickets right when they would get released.
Of course.
Assholes.
Genius. Of course. You would do that. Of course.
That last line is basically the whole reason I wanted to read this email.
Yep.
Jerks. All right. Yeah. Yep.
Phones were neat.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Reading, like, I did more reading of, issues of frack and shit than I did actual fucking cool stuff. But hearing what people were doing out there with early computer systems and phones and all that other shit, it was cool.
I mean, I don't know. That was back when you had like a raw electrical connection to the tech, right?
Yeah,
Before
sort of.
Everything was just a digital black box that you can't figure out.
And I guess like all of it seemed pretty low stakes.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's more like Watch Dogs 2. At some point, the guns get pulled out.
Right. Let's see here. Should we do more emails? Want to hear about 5G?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's kind of another tech email, but it's not super long. From Anders. You guys were talking about fiber and 5G a bit on the last Bombcast, and I figured I could provide some information. I just finished a stint as a board member at the local municipal fiber company, so I've got quite a bit of information on the market. Having more or less finished fiber to the home expansion in my city, the thing that goes very slow in many places as telecoms are trying to leverage DSL and cable instead, the next challenge is preparing for 5G. The challenge there is expected to be that 5G connection distance is very short and vulnerable to walls. As such, the thought is that companies will have to run fiber to every lamppost and bus stop to put up access points, which means that you're still stuck with hoping companies will find it worth it to make the investment everywhere, and not just in the most heavily trafficked areas, as well as find a level of regulation or cooperation to deploy it in an efficient manner. So I'm hoping for the best, but in an area where infrastructure is not already working, I'd keep being pessimistic. So I have read the same thing about the 5G penetration over distance being very bad.
So what if the thing that makes it happen is the final push to build that surveillance state that everyone knows is coming?
Oh God. Is this the devil's bargain?
Sure. Yeah. We're just like, oh, yeah, we put up internet kiosks everywhere, and also they all have cameras, and we're biometrically scanning everything because, it's like, hey, there's very fast
it's like a Taylor
connections.
Swift concert.
You just agree to be surveilled for the rest of your life in exchange for
you don't have to agree.
Incredibly fast everywhere internet all the time.
You don't have to agree.
The sad part is most people would probably just go for it. I assume.
But that would be my guess. Is it's like, oh, we've put in way more red light cameras and way more of this and that and like all that sort of stuff in the name of, hey, we're wiring all this shit anyway.
Yeah,
let's just do it for real. And that's how maybe it gets sort of justified.
Yes,
but who knows? Just saying, like, all those pictures of people that are wearing like fun makeup, it's deliberately designed to throw off facial recognition. That's the cool future. That's the cool part of the future.
So you say we're all going to dress...
It's terrible that we'll have to do that, but we will all get to dress so fucking badass finally.
So we just start dressing up as Kiss?
Yeah. Well, no, because that's too much of a pattern.
I want to be Paul Stanley.
No, all right.
You're the Star Child?
I don't want to be Gene Simmons.
I got this 45-minute audio file you need to listen to.
That's fair.
Oh, no.
If you really want to be...
I don't know why I was looking at the Wikipedia page for the Kiss makeup a week or two ago. Did you know they added more characters?
Yeah, they've got like a whole...
Yeah.
It's like a fighting
when
game
they when they replaced the initial 4, it was like, you have to be the cat, or
Well, yeah.
it was already taken,
so they
or Peter Criss was already the cat, right?
Yes, Peter Criss was the Catman. I'm not a big Kiss fan, for the record, but Peter Criss was the Catman at first, and then when Eric Singer took over, he also became the Catman. What I mean is they added more like personas.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I knew that. I just yes.
Like they added the Fox and the Ankh Warrior to the lineup of the Star Child and the Demon and the Spaceman.
I want to be the Ankh Warrior
and the Catman. Vinnie Vincent was the Ankh Warrior. You
need to listen to this.
You feel good.
You need to listen to this whole thing. This podcast just got 45 minutes longer. It's a 45. This is on SoundCloud.
Is this recorded off the board, like just his mic or something?
It seems like it.
Wow.
And I tell you, when we gonna get going, we ain't gonna be drinking no Southern Comfort, no.
That's Paul Stanley, right?
Yeah.
No, we ain't gonna be drinking no tequila.
Okay, I take it back. I don't want to be Paul Stanley.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
See, you get to smoke the whole pack.
I don't want to dress up as Kiss anymore.
That's on SoundCloud.
Wow.
I downloaded it and put it on.
You're plugging your SoundCloud.
No, it's no.
No, he's plugging Kiss's SoundCloud.
It's on SoundCloud under the name 45 Minutes of Paul Stanley Stage Banter.
Wait, is that taken from different shows?
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
Over the holiday break we had, I was listening to that track sometimes up to 2 or 3 times a day. While doing other stuff, I would just put it on again.
I don't know if I can listen to that more than once ever.
Does
it get worse?
No, it's pretty even keel. It's really, there's like some of the shows are in Sweden, I think, and he has some like local, he just tries to say some shit in Swedish.
If he tried to pronounce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where he says something that it appears to be like, I'm guessing as a euphemism for having sex, and then the crowd goes, yeah, as soon as he says whatever the fuck it is. It's on SoundCloud. It's the whole reason SoundCloud exists, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's just get that, store a local copy yourself, archive it for yourself.
Yeah.
It's on my Plex server so that I can access it remotely wherever I am,
just in case
it goes away someday. I've got it.
Kiss.
And it's like a really good, if you really want a good window or a really good instructional tutorial about how to say, hey, listen, at the start of everything you say.
Yeah.
Like Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm.
Go get that file.
Yeah. Or don't. I mean,
some people in the back told me that y'all like to drink vodka and orange juice.
Those people were right.
And then the crowd goes, yeah.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, I don't think we can do any more emails after that.
Nope.
All right,
Thank
fair
you.
enough. I mean, I could just put it back on. I mean, we got.
giantbomb.com.
We could just play. Just play more of it. I mean,
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Louder, Colts. All right, Toronto.
EA Toronto.
Listen.
Jan, you're gonna have to cut
all
Jeff's
right.
mic.
All right. Listen.
Bombcast at giantbomb.com.
I already did.
Wait, really?
No.
Okay. It's terrible, but we all have to suffer through it together.
Well, I mean, we got the after show coming up,
That's
right?
true.
So we could just listen to the rest of it there.
Send all of your KISS-related questions.
I'll just put
To
that
the
up in
experts.
between the Bombcast and that going up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that in.
It's on SoundCloud. You
Yeah.
should go get a SoundCloud downloader if it's not already flagged for download. I don't remember. Download it.
I think if ever there were audio of a major rock star that was safe to play on a show without worrying about copyright claims, I think it is that.
I
All
don't
right.
know.
All right. Well, thank you for gracing us with that. Thanks to everybody for listening. Like you said, if you're live, after show coming up,
After show coming up,
call in.
call in. Don't ask about Kiss because I don't know anything about Kiss.
Or do ask about KISS.
All right.
Ask about kissing.
Ask about Kiss. I know
Or
I know
that.
a lot about that.
Are you a knight in Satan's service?
Yes.
Okay. There you go. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We will see you next week. Bye.